Hello, everybody. We're back.
Oh my
One last
God.
time for this season. It is the Rewinds. Rewind. We've had a good run. All things must come to an end. I'm Jackson. There's all these other lovely people here. But first, before they introduce themselves, we have a very, very, very special guest on the pod for this very, very special episode. The former Julie Chen of it all. It's Jack, everybody.
Let's go!
Hold the tomatoes. The retired hag is here.
Jack threw the first tomato at Zach.
He threw the first brick at Stonewall, essentially.
Yeah, the first
It's
brick at
pretty
Stonewall,
much-
the first tomato at Zach's DR.
Exactly.
It had the same cultural impact.
It did. It really did.
Wait, so if Jack's Julie Chen, does that mean I'm Julie Chen Moonves? Is that what happens? Is that how it works?
Yeah, I think that tracks.
You do have a
All right. Well,
really
hello,
weird
children of
affiliation
God.
to
I'm
God.
Shinx.
I'm Graham. Eddie Diaz Catholic Guilt Arc.
Oh god.
Stream 911 on Hulu.
And
We're
let's
not
say,
At
sponsored.
8/7 Central on ABC.
Am I next?
Go on,
I'm
Sydney.
Sydney.
Oh,
I'm
Sydney,
Sydney,
you go.
the female minority hire.
As always.
One last time.
And I am Swan Sheila Kennedy, Hermie the Elf DDS. Period. How are y'all?
As a standstill, I'm devastated, but we'll get into that.
The rigging allegations have never been more beat than they are right now.
True. We had a nice streak of host, boyfriend to 3-time winner to future owner, and now it's been broken. Finally.
All I will say is without me as the main host, men are beginning to win rewinds, and that's a big issue.
That's disgusting.
This is true.
Yeah,
I think it's the
Horrible.
sixth
first time
It's the
Jack
sixth
decides to
curse.
step down, the first time in the whole series that two men have won back to back. Just think about that. But yeah, the season's over.
It only took 54 fucking days.
Oh my God, I
honestly,
know.
it took less days than I thought it would.
It
So,
could have been longer.
but yeah, we're here for this episode 10, the final episode, recapping Rewind 16. We have the final three where we left off with last episode: Amber, Cody, Nicole. What many have, myself included, have touted as the best final three in Big Brother Rewind's history, and I'm sure Shinx is about to say second best.
No, Jackson, it's boring. You don't understand. It's boring. It's so boring.
Yeah, they were
No, it
so
is-
boring.
it is
That's
really
right. Like Amber and Cody didn't do anything.
God, who let
I
the
am
dirt
gonna
in
say
here?
though, if the caveat is that Sombra wasn't, it's not the best because Sombra couldn't win, Nicole couldn't win, so
That's tea.
I don't
I have
think
4 though.
though. I think okay, we'll get into that.
we will
But
get
I
into
think
all
the
of
reason
it.
Nicole didn't have a chance to win is because her final 2 performance was not great. I think if
Yeah.
she had a better final 2 performance, there is a world in which Nicole wins.
That's true because
I think
They are the best newbies. I'll give them the best.
I
I'm
think
just a cocky
Nicole's
bitch.
game throughout the season made more sense and was more cohesive than someone in season 15.
a couple of people in season 15.
I thought you were gonna say Cody, and I was like, you voted for Cody, so what are you talking about? But
No, he's
I
talking
got
about
the
you.
shot instead, and
I was.
thought that was okay.
I am firmly in Cody's corner. I will fight for an evil game.
Yeah, it's true.
Period. But yes, I think going into the final three, because obviously just with the final HOH, it's a pretty straightforward breakdown. Everyone does part 1, you lose that, you play part 2, you lose that, then you're just nominated, and then it's the last competition to decide who gets to the final vote. But I think a very interesting thing that ended up happening for both us and the jury roundtable was when the jury roundtable happened, and we thought Amber had a good chance at the end. She had a very good social game and very good strategic positioning throughout the game, and many people had left the game feeling very high on Amber's game, and
Yeah, she had the
Yeah, I
best
think-
jury management of any of the final
and
3.
we knew that, but I don't think until the roundtable happened, hosted by Alex, who was our guest on the last pod, shout out. I don't think we quite realized that it was literally, if Amber gets to the end, she is winning. Like, all Amber has to do is make it to the end.
I believe we shifted our pots from Nicole to Amber in that moment as well. Spoiler alert.
Yes. Yeah, because what we also found with that is that a lot of people it was kind of this interesting like triangle situation that you don't really see a lot in Big Brother Rewind's final threes. A lot of the time it's like, well, if either of these two people win, they're probably going to take each other, or it's like, well, it's these two people competing really, and whichever one of them wins is just going to evict the other person and take the third. Like that's
Yeah,
usually
so
what
it's always a
it comes down to.
duo and either a goat or just like the odd one out.
Yeah. So it's
And it
usually pretty
kind of was
straightforward.
here, kind of not.
It's
Little-
fitting to have a type triangle matchup for the Pokemon theme season.
It's true.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It did get ruined at the end, but for most of the final three, it was going to be that Amber takes Nicole, Nicole takes Cody, and Cody takes Amber. And then Amber just barely switched at the 11th hour and then lost the comps anyway, so it didn't even matter.
Yeah. And it was really this situation of, well, Amber beats both of them, like outright. Like if Amber was gonna get there, she was gonna win. But if Nicole won and took Cody, then it would be pretty in favor
Worse for
of
her.
Cody winning,
Mhm.
as far as the
Yeah.
jury was concerned. If Nicole won and took Amber to the end, I think
She's
Amber
dog walked.
would have probably swept her, honestly.
Amber runs away with
Probably would have,
that.
honestly.
And then if
If
Cody,
not unanimous, like America probably.
yeah,
It was
it'd be
Nicole's only
really-
vote.
it would not have been close. If Amber won final HOH, yeah, it's like what Shink said. At first, she was just because she's had like the game long loyalty to Nicole, pretty much, and she wanted to take Nicole to the end. So in that case, I would still think Amber wins, and it did
Yeah.
seem like a lot of people. Well, I don't know. It was so weird because also from the round table, pretty much Alex asked like, who do you think is going to win, or like who do you expect is going to win versus who do you want to win? And pretty much everybody said that they expected Nicole to win, but they wanted one of the other two to win.
That one
Yeah,
just threw me
they-
off because it was like, you guys decide. So, like, who you want is who it's going to be. So, if no one wants Nicole, where do you think the five people, if five people had just said, I don't want Nicole to
Yeah.
win, where are the five people going to come from? That was a weird question.
My
literally.
brother in Christ, you pick the winner. Like
Exactly. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
so
it perfectly.
it really put into like, if Nicole does make it to the end, and at this point, even though it isn't what you would think just on paper, and we ended up coming to this conclusion as like a hosting team as well, that it would have and was the correct decision to bring Cody to the end
Mhm.
over Amber, even though it does end up playing out how it plays out. I think it was a lot closer than it was
Yeah.
ever going to be.
Yeah.
If it was against Amber, but I still think that comes down to the fact that she put herself in that position.
Yeah,
She could have taken
Right.
Joey.
by
Yeah.
by evicting
Well,
Joey instead of evicting Cody.
So
That's
just
the
the whole
problem.
thing summed up to be like, Nicole, if she wanted to make it to final two, had to win. And if Nicole wanted to even have a chance at winning, she had to take Cody instead of Amber. Like in every other scenario, if Nicole doesn't win, she's just not going, period. Right? Because Amber decided
Yeah.
she wasn't taking her.
Amber
Yeah.
changed a lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
changed
Amber
Nicole.
was gonna take her and then changed her mind, and Cody was never gonna take Nicole. So the only way Nicole was gonna make it was by winning, so she was gonna have to choose who to take anyway.
Yeah.
Which both choices kind of fucked her.
Yeah,
But
and
I
it
do
wasn't
think-
the
even-
better
it
option.
wasn't even like the wrong and the right choice. It was like
No.
the less wrong choice.
Just a little bit less hard to fight against, which
I
she
mean,
did.
the vote was
She did the right
5-4. You
5-4.
know, I mean, we're jumping ahead again, but I mean, the vote was
Yeah.
5-4, right? So ultimately, she did make the right choice round.
I think she just didn't
Yeah.
have the like questioning speech and answers that she needed to make up
No.
the past mistakes.
Yeah.
Also,
And
just
she-
to mention this, because this will come up later, and I think it's important because we just mentioned it now. Nicole never sent a goodbye message to Donnie.
Oh.
And overall, Nicole just had really poor jury management. Like, I don't think Nicole was ever disrespectful, but Nicole
It wasn't
just
toxic. It was just bad.
no. There was literally
Yeah.
actually nothing toxic about it at all. Like Nicole is always very like, I feel like very respectful, but just the way she like delivered bad information, and also just the fact that in a lot of situations she was like directly the person sending someone out the door. And I think when you're in that situation so many times, you really have to learn how to deliver that news and how to make people feel okay with you, because that is part of the game, is like getting people that you vote out to want to vote for you at the end. And she just did not know how to do that, like
And
consistently.
we talked about her not sending a goodbye message to Donnie, but the ones she sent were
They
arguably
were also bad, yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was like she would send a paragraph of like, OMG bestie, it was so nice to know you. Ha ha ha.
Right.
I love you. And it was like,
See you soon, but hopefully not too soon.
yeah, it was
Right.
it was just nothing.
I
There
hate
was
that
nothing
shit.
for any of them
Yeah.
to block. It was like, why
Especially
would you
when
even
someone
send me
like when
this?
she evicted Hayden and when Hayden was still in the house, not to bring it all back to Hayden, not like I always do. But all Hayden wanted when he was in the house and about to get evicted was to like have a chance to like fight for himself, even though he knew like it wasn't gonna work. And Nicole, I think rightfully didn't give it to him because there was no reason she should have had to show her cards to him while he was still in the game and could have used it to blow her game up. But the best time to do it would have been in that goodbye message to be like, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't feel like I could reveal a lot of information to you because I felt like you were going to blow my game up. But here are the reasons why I wanted to evict you. Here are the reasons. Like that was like such a prime opportunity. And I mean, Hayden, thankfully, or whatever, ended up voting for her to win anyway. But those moments are where like she just didn't take advantage of situations where she literally could have sent someone into jury who was like, oh, Nicole played an amazing game. Like there was literally no one but Brittany ever really advocating for Nicole, even the people who voted for her. And I think part of the reason why is like no one ever left feeling like they really understood her game or respected her game. They just left feeling like kind of slighted.
And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say that yeah, she didn't really have an advocate for her on the jury except for Brittany was her biggest advocate, and the jury also didn't respect Brittany because they viewed her as like
Yeah.
on
Right.
that same side that wasn't willing to be flexible or whatever.
And also
then,
Brittany was
you know,
not as loud as everybody else.
When Brittany tried
well,
to talk, they
correct.
would shut
Well,
her
because
up.
Brittany kind of correctly clocked that like they don't
Oh,
care
yeah,
what she
no.
had to say.
Like
Totally
Brittany said during
understandable.
questioning that she wants to ask a question to help Nicole, but she thinks it'll end poorly because of the
Because
jury.
yeah, and then the other thing is, you know, Amber I think would have been a huge Nicole advocate, but just came in at the last minute when so many people were kind of already
Yeah.
decided, and
Mhm.
Amber didn't really go to jury and be super chatty about like
Yeah, Amber was
No.
like,
She
I'm not
thought
gonna
she
do
was
anything. I'm just gonna let them talk
Amber
to
was just mostly
themselves.
Yeah.
upset about getting third,
Blonde.
which is totally understandable.
Yeah.
Mhm.
would be
Yeah.
too. I have been.
Yeah, yeah, because
No, yeah.
it sucks just to get cut at the very end, but also to get cut at the very end and have
When you
every
would've
single
fought.
member of the jury be like, Amber, no.
You were gonna win
Literally.
unanimously.
We were all
Yeah,
gonna
No,
vote
you
for
would have
you.
swept
that
and
that
won.
sucks so
Like
much.
that fucking
I-
sucks.
Yeah.
I did want to throw this in before we moved on that because I briefly mentioned that like she could have been in this spot, not been in the spot if she had like taken Joey, but she did finally explain that she thought Joey had already rallied numbers twice before, like to save herself and then to like take out Derek, and that she had the story, which clearly this jury would have eaten up a fucking story. And like a lot of them say, I wouldn't have voted out Joey if she came back. But it's like Hayden, her ride or die is up there. Like Donnie and Zach loved her. So it's like I finally understand why Nicole did that. And
Yeah,
it's like
that's true. Because
a
like,
weird decision because you think Joey's a goat on paper, but when you look at the dynamics of the house, like she has flipped people before. All her friends are in the jury already.
yeah,
It just takes four. It takes five. You've got four of her friends already.
No,
So
I always understood why Nicole did that. I just
I just needed
think
her to
that,
say it, and she finally did after the season.
well, she said it like very briefly in
She
her
she
DR,
framed
like,
it like more like loyalty instead
oh,
of like Joey
really?
has friends. She said more like loyalty to Cody than like Joey has
Maybe I was
friends.
just
When she
giving her
finally,
logic when she had
she
it.
finally said Joey had friends.
do we feel like she underestimated the other people in the final three in
Yes.
comparison
Yes.
to Joey?
She especially
Yeah.
underestimated Cody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely.
I think she properly estimated Amber.
She did
That's
say
what she
Cody
did.
and her were similar, and she could argue better with some. That's the thing I always. Alex said it too. Like you want to go against someone who's more similar to you, because then you can point out you have X, Y, Z over them, versus someone who has so much difference than you. They might have stuff on you, and like yeah, Joey had like I derailed Nicole's HOH, I won the battle back, da 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 da. So like,
Again, I
and
just
Amber had that
think
stuff too, with the whole middle thing where Nicole was like win or die, and Amber was never in danger.
I just still think it comes down to this person was evicted from the game of Big Brother. And anytime they say anything, you say, well, I wasn't evicted. You know what I mean? Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not just that, but like you have at that point, you have so much of a lead that you don't have to do as much difficult work in the jury questioning, which we see Nicole will have some struggle with that. So at that point, you have so much a lead that regardless of your performance, it's not really gonna like bite you as much as it would have if you're going up against a Cody or an Amber.
Yeah.
And we even saw it with the jury being like, yeah, even Joey's allies were like, yeah, I'm not, I'm not gonna vote for Joey because she got evicted. We saw that in the roundtable, but
Everyone but Caleb said that, I believe.
yeah,
But
But
I
I
get
think
her
it's really
perspective.
interesting.
Typical.
That's kind of the moral
Yeah.
of this season, of this Shield-esque Nicole, Brittany, whatever side, looking at the other side and being like, oh my God, they're a united front.
Yep.
Reality is they're a bunch
Not
of
once.
ragamuffins doing their absolute
The
worst.
Bluey Brigade was
Like, you know
never
what
a
I mean?
real
Like the
line.
only defining member was Hayden. And it
Also,
was
they were never united
no, and it
because
was
they
like
were all a
a
mess.
misperception from the other side, always thinking they were united when that wasn't the case.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
agree with a lot of what you said, where like that is the logical thinking, but like, and they did say in the roundtable, but I don't have faith in this jury. I don't trust them as
Yeah,
much as
That's the
I
way
would
they
fucking
were
throw
getting
them.
Okay.
Well, you're all
They were so
boring.
upset that we had the most boring, predictable final two of Cody and Nicole. So what the fuck happens
No,
if Nicole's sitting next to
literally.
Joey instead,
Joey.
and suddenly it's not so boring? It's so exciting. I can vote for Joey. Like
Yeah, I
my
really
side
think
can
that's what
win.
would have
I
happened.
think she would have lost to
I
Joey or
do
would have
not.
been
I
gone to
do not take
America.
them for at face value for
Oh,
their
yeah.
word.
I
this
was gonna
jury.
say-
Caleb,
Well,
Zach,
she would have made a
Donnie,
risk by taking Joey, and they loved risks.
Oh, they
So they would
love
have
the
really
No,
risk.
Joey
rewarded
loved
them
risk,
for
and
that.
Not
Joey
from Nicole,
couldn't
they
vote.
don't.
That's
Yeah.
But no, but I think
Yeah.
Nicole, like, I do think that Nicole was pretty much in a hard, like, she just really didn't have a lot of options in Final
She
Four.
needed
She
the
was-
right
No.
speech.
And I do think that that evicting Joey was a bit of a misstep for her. But at the end of the day, I do think she correctly clocked the fact that regardless of everything we just said, jury is extremely unpredictable. It's a bunch of fucking characters in that jury who are all self-motivated, which Nicole and Brittany clocked many, many moons ago. Like they're self-motivated,
Yeah.
character-driven, emotional people. And I do think that's what her probably biggest fear was with keeping Joey. Was
Yeah.
like that's Joey is the exact kind of person that those type of characters like to root for. And
Someone
like I do
said
still think Nicole would have won against Joey, but I 100% understand
it would have
her
been closer than I
logic.
had to.
Bringing it to the
Someone
final
said-
three decision, like yes, she made that wrong decision with Joey, but at least props to her for recognizing Amber for the social threat she
Oh,
was,
yeah.
the well-positioned player she was. Because in a game like Amber's could so easily go undetected, and the fact that she recognized how well-positioned Amber was great. And she made the best decision to make the best case possible in the end. She just didn't cross the finish line by making that case.
I was just gonna say, someone mentioned that with our, not even the jury, mostly the cast in general, we had a great cast, but they were mostly characters versus players, and I think we really got to see that, especially in this finale.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah. So after the jury roundtable, the final three start part one of the final HOH competition. We have officially shifted the escape room into part one of
Shout
Final
out Swan.
Woo woo. And
yeah.
yeah, I made a fun little dragon themed Pokemon escape room,
was so
kind of
cute.
on the fly. Thank you.
So much fun. I love
yeah.
them.
They're just
much fun.
they're a type of psychological warfare I never thought I would ever see in my lifetime.
It's
And
a little puzzle. It's a cute little puzzle. I'll give a quick run through of kind of how it worked. You had to find gym leader Danielle, the Queen of Dragons. Shout out to Hazel. We were in Grodner City, and you had to go to the Grodner City gym to find gym leader Danielle, and she told you that she wanted to find this legendary Walking Wake Pokemon. You were the perfect person to help her find it because you could use a Mega Altaria to fight the water dragon and catch it. So she tells you how to Mega Evolve your Pokemon, and you go on your merry little way. You go to the Pokemon Center. We run into Trainer Jojo, aka Danielle's rival,
Allie.
who she's lost her Mega Bracelet. You can also talk to Nurse Maggie, who is not healing Pokemon. She's simply standing by and watching them slowly die. You go to the Pokemart. We run into shop clerk Angie. You can buy a Pokeball from her once you find, the nugget to like sell and get Pokemon dollars.
That one.
Shout out to Katie because she runs a shop back at home IRL, and so a little fun nod there. Then you go out to Route 69. That's where you find your little nugget. You find June's flower shop. Shout out to Liam. And you find all these different things. You go to, we have Pokénoms, the Chef Joe's restaurant where you get the sandwich to feed your Pokemon. Eventually, you find the Pokemon, you do all the things to Mega Evolve your Pokemon and catch it. Relatively simple, very cute, lots of Rewinds references throughout, fun fun Pokemon themed things. Relatively simple, but one thing that people got hung up on was you needed Pokemon dollars to like buy the sandwich, buy a Pokeball. And multiple times they resorted to trying to rob Angie and her shop.
Then they tried to rob Danielle. Danielle got groped and stabbed. It was not.
And it was
fun.
Nicole the one who groped.
Yeah, then Cody
Yeah.
stabbed.
Because Nicole's like, I don't have a
Nicole was
Pokeball,
like,
I can't
search
get the
pants,
Pokeball. So she just
search
starts like
shirts.
searching Danielle, like search pockets,
Like,
search
patting
hair.
down,
Like,
Like
she's
patting
trying
her
to
down.
fully lift a Pokeball off
Like the
this woman.
TSA.
Yeah.
I'm like, girl, she will
Yeah.
fight you.
Yeah. So
on the topic of the Nugget, I was gonna say, because Cody was the only one who DNF'd, and this is why. He ran to Route 69. First thing he did was search the bridge, saw the Nugget, had the Nugget, asked me, do I have this? I say yes. And then he goes for the next, what felt like 3 hours, and just forgot that he had the Nugget. It wasn't 3 hours, but it took a long time.
Is he high?
I don't think he
I
forgot
don't even
he
know.
had the Nugget. I just
He was
don't
probably
think...
high.
Well,
Yeah.
yes. Well,
Based on
yes.
the
Statistically
track record.
speaking.
I just
I
don't think he knew to sell it.
It said
Which
sell it. It said
it
you have
clearly
this thing to
says.
sell.
I know,
Yeah.
but like, I don't think he knew because he was like, I don't have any money. What am I
He's
gonna
like,
do?
"Where do
I don't have
Where do I
money.
get money?"
Yeah, that was
And
the
He
funny
went
part. Was
back
he was
to the
just
Pokemart like
desperate.
multiple times.
He tried to like Cody did
And
not have the
Angie even
Nugget
tells you, like, use this command to sell an
to
item
sell
and to see
something.
if I'll buy
Yeah.
it. And like nothing.
Then he DNF'd. I explained it to him. He felt like awful, and yeah, he moves on to part 2 because he DNFs. And then Amber had a riveting time of 57
Not talking to
minutes
people.
after not talking to anybody. Swan's infamous picture now. Treat her like an object.
Treat her like an object because she tries to approach Danielle. She
She was
goes
like,
like,
approach
approach.
Danielle.
And I said, treat her like an object. She searched Danielle.
She was
There
not.
we go,
She was
girl.
just not in a very social mood. She socialed her game out.
That's true.
Up until this point, she's
But
been
then
very tired.
Even after she's like learned you have to search Danielle, she doesn't do that
She
to
didn't
anybody
talk to
else. Anybody else until much later. So
She's
that was
done
kind of the reason
talking.
her time was her time was so long.
Yeah,
Nicole had a few
Nicole
hiccups, but
handily won
Nicole
with
still kind of
25-15.
got through pretty quickly.
She had some
Nicole
lag,
handily won.
and yeah, she moves on to part 3.
I just thought it was really funny. Nicole was the first to was Nicole first or Amber? Whatever.
I think Amber went first.
Amber
Amber
DNF'd, right? No.
No, Amber took an
No.
hour.
Oh no,
went-
yeah,
Amber
okay, that
went
was the thing.
first.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Amber went
Amber-
first and it was like right under an hour.
Yeah,
And
so
then
Amber
Nicole
went
went.
first and took about an hour, and then everyone in host chat was like, oh, this is such a beatable time. And I was like, this seems like a really good time to me. I was like, this seems really not beatable in my opinion. And then
It
of
would be a
course,
normal
Nicole did it.
time for our normal escape rooms, but
Yeah.
for this particular escape room, that like no.
Yeah.
And game-wise, like with your decision to move this to part 1, I like it a lot personally because I feel like
Me too.
otherwise the way to win Big Brother Rewinds is to have no life and to take a lot of notes.
Yeah.
And now this adds a little more like
No wonder Shinx won.
Shut the fuck up.
And
was
you
waiting
know,
for
and escape rooms are endurance-y in their own right. 'Cause it's
Yeah, that's
something
part
you
of
just
why
get
I
and
did it.
power
Amber
through.
proved that.
It's just like a skill,
tiring.
it's like skill endurance.
Thing
almost.
You have to be willing to like sit there and fight through it and like not give up. And I think that makes it
Yeah.
endurance-y without it being like you have to put aside 24 hours of your life to like try and win this
Absolutely.
competition. It's like, well, we might need to set a couple hours aside, but
Yeah.
you know,
And that's good.
it's
I like that.
doable.
And for
Yeah,
a
me too.
final, and it should be difficult in some sense. It is the
Yeah.
final HOH of the season, but you also don't want people like pulling all-nighters on Thanksgiving and then hosts falling asleep and not posting the keys properly.
I agree. It's not a fun thing to
I
happen
also
at all.
I like the grandiosity of it. Like it's the final HOH. It's like this big
Yeah.
like
And
thing.
it's
Plus,
my
this way we don't have
favorite
to run it for
competition.
fun anymore. Because like always the outgoing HOH was like, can I play it for fun? And we don't have to
Yeah,
like wait for
yeah,
them and all
that's
that. And then it's like now everyone who's there can just play, and it's still 3 people playing, so it's not any more work for us. Less work actually.
What'd you say, Jack? Sorry.
Go in the room in a
It's just
second,
my
come back
all-time
up.
favorite competition because of the creativity that goes into it. It's just fun, it's engaging, it's interactive, it's different every season. So I think having it in this spot is really fitting.
While
Our
part 1 may
beloved-
have changed in Big Brother Rewind's canon, part 2 is eternal. And we always put in a good web. Because we love to
Nice.
see
As
some web.
I dubbed it
6
the
or
Applin
7.
Yeah,
false
maybe
far
not
from
this
the tree,
particular season web. Maybe there wasn't a lot of love associated with this one, but
Yeah, this is
If one more test one didn't work, I was gonna like drive to New York and kill myself in front of Shanks.
It's his
with
first
Jack
web.
being
Give
gone.
him a chance.
Yeah.
With Jack being gone, I became the.
It was his
I
first web.
hosted-
It was his second web. It was his third web. It was his fourth web. It was his
Yeah,
fifth web.
It was
I was gonna
1 through
say,
7 webs.
Actually, it was
Shanks.
2 through 8.
Shanks,
'cause-
I think we take this as a learning experience, and
Yes.
from now on, do what I've done when I make webs, and do the terms, and then fill in the house guests.
How
There was
I
a
do it
different
is
when I
randomized-
asked for help.
How I
Were
do
you
it is
not
like
doing
when I-
that?
No, he randomized where they would all be. and then
No,
having you
that's
do that.
terrible.
That's the opposite of how you need to
Oh
do it.
my
What I
god.
would do when I have like
Thanks,
4 random house guests left over is be like, all right, what term fits these 4 people that I can just slot in there?
Yeah.
Literally.
I was gonna say that with Jack gone, I'm now the webmaster, and I've only made one web before
have to
hosting
be.
Jackson.
I've made like 4 for Pixel at this
Hosting
point.
I made
Jackson
one for
in
Pixel
the
too.
BBO. You were on a strike for making competition.
That's true.
That's
I was
true.
peacefully protesting.
Yeah.
Like,
As
Okay,
you
I
should.
actually made a web for Cole during final 2 or final 3 of BBR7. Maybe next time I'll try again.
point is, I
just-
made the web. I
it
made
looked
one
ugly.
once before for Edmonds org that Jackson didn't
Oh,
play.
right. And that one was fine.
And it went off well. So I'm like, okay, I did the same thing with randomized first, back second. Okay, this is fine. This works.
What happened?
Allie did it. Nothing. I just like couldn't. The issue that I found was these casts. A lot of them, the competitions were leaning towards so specific people that I had to like find other niche things, and then like some of these people didn't do the same number of comps, or like didn't have the same like even or odd vote counts, or didn't leave on even or odd days. I'm like,
Yeah.
these people are not aligning.
Mm.
And then, so yes, my first attempt doesn't work. Third attempt almost works, but then doesn't. And then we get like 700 more. We finally get 2 that work. I picked the easier one.
And then
They go out and they do it.
then it was like all of these but C18 HOHs or whatever.
They
What
all
was it?
were whatever. Yeah. And then they both got a perfect score, which rarely happens with these webs.
That's
Someone
true.
always gets something
Yeah.
wrong or something. But with Cody's
Well,
time of
rush.
31 to Amber getting what I predicted, 58 minutes, just shy of an hour, Cody moves on to part 3.
And
As
it's
everyone
actually
probably
funny that you mentioned that both people getting perfect scores usually doesn't happen, because for some reason I was going back and looking at the past webs that we'd done, and I went back to Big Brother 6 and saw that Jeevan got like 3 out of
Yeah,
16
Jimmy got like,
correct.
yeah, he got like 4 out of 14. We were all in the, we were so mad at him. Between what he did with Logged and Loaded and this, we were all like, Janelle, are you fucking
You're
serious?
so
Not
disgusting.
horrible.
Like, you're not dead
He
ass.
did what he did best. He shat the bed.
It's true.
My first official Rewinds web has come and gone. If I do the next one, it'll be better, I hope. So we get into part 3, which this one was controversial because Nicole was like, make it jury, like don't make it jury speaks, make it stats like the real show, which I wanted to do, but democracy is
But
real,
it
and
wasn't
everyone
even
outvoted.
it wasn't even
This was
stats
not
at the real
controversial.
show at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say, first of all, this was
We
not
did comics
controversial.
before BB16. We did OTEV before
It's fine.
BB12.
Okay.
It's like we
That's
could
not
have
like
changed it if we
fundamentally
wanted.
changing the competition though. That's just doing
Yeah.
it's like Zingbot has been in this shit for like years. And Zingbot made his first appearance in 12.
Yeah.
I just know I brought up changing it, and then everyone outvoted me, and I was like, okay, that's
When did
that.
it change? It
Come on.
changed on the
Yeah,
show.
you can change it when the show
after-
changes.
It changed when Josh beat Paul. Production was like, fuck this, and starting with Casey and Tyler, it's become stats.
Oh, it was
instead
in
of jury
20. It's in
stats.
stats. Great.
Yes, it's
Then
start-
we can do stats starting in 20. And we could have our Alyssa Snyder. I lost all 19 competitions that I competed in moment. or whatever.
So yeah. Anyways, it's Jerry Speaks. Everyone, you love it, you hate it. You know who the social people love it. The comp beasts usually hate it. That's how it tends to go.
Yeah.
As
Speaking
a
as one.
social comp beast, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah.
I flopped twice at it.
It's
And
like
this was
Nicole said
honestly-
this too, and I agree. From a viewer's perspective, I think it's really fun because it
Yeah.
is kind of crapshooty, honestly. It's like
Yeah.
I love
You saw me
this
spiraling
format.
over Alex beating me in this. For,
It's
like,
a great
love-
equalizer, I think.
I love how
Yeah.
unpredictable it is. I feel like having good notes takes you so far through the season that if you had them, it would take you all the way if this was just like answer the
Yeah.
questions about the season.
I do agree. I
You saw
agree.
this-
I see you got this point.
Like
There
this
is
is
merit.
crapshooty. It's not like a true like how well do you know your jurors test.
Yeah.
But It's fun, it's classic, it's iconic, and it adds unpredictability to the end of the
And
season.
I do think it
There-
sticks with the 3 pillars because you have the notes, like the strategy, all that stuff. Notes. You have just like your willpower, endurance with the web, lock and load, whatever. Not the web, the endurance, escape room, lock and whatever. And then this is just like social. Can you read these people? Do you know what they would say when you fall for the host tricks? Like I do agree, it's a good competition. It's just like it's just so random. Like usually the entire game tends to hinge on if you say A or B, and it's just like
I love that.
And
I love it.
there is a definite way to game it, and it's been brought up before, and it was brought up this season, and it
I brought it
made
at
Nicole lose. Honestly, she kind of overthought it.
No, okay.
almost fucked
Nicole
me
was
over,
trying
too.
to game it, and she gamed it wrong.
I feel
I
like you
tried to game it
can't
last season. I
gamed
Graham,
Yeah,
I think Graham, Cole, the last 4 people all used
actually
Cole's
game it,
advice.
or were you lucky?
No, I actually gamed it.
Graham thinks he
yes,
gamed it.
it is the method that has been brought to light by our 3-time winner Cole, Nucleo, Krista, Julia, in which you don't try to guess what the house guest answer was. You actually try to guess what the production answer was that they put in. And most of the times when production does that, speaking from experience, from being the person that has like done the fake answers or whatever, you want to try and like get as close to what they said or what they would say. And sometimes it does get a little on the nose with it. And you can kind of pick it up. So a lot of the times it can be like the too obvious answer is what, because also for some reason, a lot of the times the jurors decide to like pick the less obvious answer too for them.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is about, but it does
Because they like to fuck with the people left in the game because they're jealous.
Like I used Cole's strategy, and then I think I got the last 2 questions wrong, but so did Alex. But Graham used Cole's strategy. He got a perfect score. Cole is Cole. He tied with Hazel when he did his own fucking strategy. Nicole did the Cole strategy, tied with Cole. It's really it's hit or miss, I think. Or we've just gotten better at making the fakes since.
Yes, well, because you know Cole's strategy now, so you're changing the answers in order to circumvent Cole's strategy.
the meta of jury
statements has changed.
But yeah, this was a funny one because Cody and Nicole, they were like, someone put the hand holding emoji. They were in lockstep. They got a question right together. They got a question wrong together. And then we get to 2 questions left. Nicole, they finally say something different with 2 questions left.
God.
And Nicole gets it right. And we're all like, oh my God, yay, she's going to win. And we get to the spectator question. The spectator question was, which pre-juror did the spectators feel burned their name into the Big Brother Rewind history books this season? The options were A, Derek, and B, Frankie. And Nicole said with her entire chest, Frankie. And apparently, Cody said he almost said Frankie and changed it at the last second. So I am just like,
and if she had lost right then and there the entire season, I would have been like, you deserved it. Like you earned that. Like, congratulations.
I voted Frankie. Let it be known.
I was just about to say, I know these. I probably would have picked Frankie because these motherfuckers are
knowing this
wild.
audience.
She
did have a logic of like.
Here's the thing that where Cole's strategy doesn't work for this specific scenario, because typically it's hosts making up an alternative answer, but because it was a spec poll, Shanks literally just put the second most popular.
I would have
answer.
probably put Frankie anyways.
That's true. We put in Shanks put in both of the answers.
I would have probably put
so
Frankie.
It
was one.
short-circuited
Jack was the
system.
only Frankie vote. It was like 6-1 again.
To me, he is such a meme. He's such an icon. I'm so happy he was the first boo.
Yeah.
I mean, his legacy was already cemented in BBR history.
Nicole said that.
Like,
Frankie had to win or go home. We talked about this literally episode 1. Frankie had to win or go home.
It was perfect.
There was no in between, or go home first. Like there was no in between first boot or winner for Frankie.
It was great.
And now
Nicole
he's looking at the season 16 pod.
Yeah.
And now
Nicole
he's coming back for 18, and he's gonna win that one.
Yeah.
So.
The Devon print. Nicole said that she thought that the specs would pick the meme and that they didn't like that Derek threw himself out of the game and deleted his account, which is a logic. I get the reason after the fact, but in the moment I was like, what the fuck?
I think also Nicole doesn't know that that's Emmy, and that Emmy's like one of the most beloved people in the community, and like we were frustrated because it sucked to see Emmy hurt and like to just immediately dip and not like engage with whatever, but like still like we have empathy for her, we love her, we adore her. So it was like we're not gonna hold it against her, and like, you know, she really what like really was the like pre-jury icon that didn't make jury. Obviously, we've said multiple times Zach was like the pre-jury icon, but like she was the pre-juror icon, I guess is what I mean.
Yeah. So we get to the tiebreaker. It's one of our how many times was the themed word of the season said in house chat? The answer is 49.
Like 100 or something.
Cody said 103. Nicole said 30. And Amber from the grave got a perfect score, by the way, I think.
Yeah.
And she got the tiebreaker. She said 40. So Amber would have won the game had she been 30 minutes faster.
Well, girl, if you got like half your time in the escape room, and if you got like
half your time
half
in the
your
wet.
time in the wet, like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, Nicole wins Final HOH after almost throwing her entire game away. And then Amber almost yoinks her heartstrings in the 11th hour, but she stands strong, cuts Amber, and we get the BB22 of everyone's dream. Grodner's wet dream, allegedly my wet dream.
This is just your wet dream.
Very wet dream.
Nicole Franzel and Cody Calafiore have made the final two of Big Brother.
Which is fucking wild. I can't believe that.
I can because fate tends to do this to us all the time.
Boring,
Fate
right?
meaning who you casted as these people you trusted.
That's true. I was thinking about that the other day, and I was like,
I didn't pick Cody as Cody. I'm just.
I would say we did take a risk on Cody. We did take a risk on Emmanuel coming because we didn't.
He didn't ask to be Cody. He was just like everyone else that he wanted was.
That's true, because Cody was actually one of the last people that got picked.
It was Cody and Caleb, and we gave Caleb to Esther.
I know why. I mean, I wouldn't pick Cody.
Yeah, no one wanted to play as Cody.
He was the best Cody. He was a perfect Cody.
He was.
Cody.
If you're gonna play as like an obnoxiously straight man, at least be clearly gay.
Yeah. Flaming homosexual.
Post Lana Del Rey in your DR every day.
Pick up Meloetta as your partner.
I'm literally so tired of gay people.
The best Pokemon partners were Cody with Meloetta and Caleb with fucking Togepi. Those were just I loved it. Those were
and Cody didn't even know. Cody didn't even know that Pokemon. He was just like, I don't know. She looks fierce.
She looks. Yep.
And I do want to harken this back to the conversation we had at the very first episode of the Rewind's Rewind, talking about how we think that people's character choices will follow them going forward, and how we're finally in a new era of Big Brother, like the quote unquote new era or the modern era, where people have more strong feelings associated to these people. So that's why someone like Cody was like one of the last few alts taken. That's why someone like Frankie at the very beginning was like a contentious situation going up and like going home early. Like we talked about how that might dictate how people choose alts, or like if certain alts get targeted for being those specific alts going forward, etc. So it's just interesting to me that like I was like, how did Cody and Nicole make it to the end? Because there's just so much like
truly wild
canon hype around those two names.
The
or like
single greatest
events. It's kind of crazy.
So in the future, if someone's stuck with someone like Big Brother 17 Jeff, what would you suggest they do to game around that meta?
I didn't want him. I said no preference. I wanted Vanessa and she was taken.
Be as faggy as possible. Just like full send the other way.
That's true.
Wait, which one's Jeff?
Jeff
is
Jackie's partner.
Amazing.
He's the one where his entrance.
Oh, he's the guy who has. Why is his skin so red?
Face.
His face is so red.
Yeah, I mean, I really think though that Cody being so drastically different from the perceived Cody Calafiore actually did help him out. Like him being so Lana Del Rey twink gay actually really did help people. Like disassociate him from that.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Nicole
no one
being
likes a straight person.
Nicole being Max really helped people disassociate Nicole, the famous woman hater who hates other women, who is horrible about working with women. And
that was debunked in Reindeer Games
from Max. It was really crazy how that worked.
Okay. Well, I feel like Nicole had less of a disadvantage in that realm because at least she's like a meme and rewind.
A lot of people didn't want to be Nicole. Like,
she's more of like a fun faker. You want to gag people. You want them to be shocked when you're revealed. You want to put on a show. So I totally.
It's
just the ultimate of wanting to be
rewinds. Like it's the whole it's the whole premise of it. Like we could
people
do like
who try
what like
fail.
Samebimer does and stuff like that, where they like just cast whoever like and do the season as the season, and that's well and good. But I think really the thing that like sets rewinds like above it and like makes it its own like special thing is the whole alt identity of it all. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say back to Nicole's victory and her eviction. Do you have any thoughts on how she handled that?
Yeah, I want to give her major props for assessing the Amber game. I think we already said that for a second, but just to focus us back in, I want to give Nicole major props for assessing Amber's huge target and potential as a winner.
Huge.
Huge.
Oh my God.
And well, but this is something Nicole has had clocked for a while too, which I think is something to say to her benefit. She has had Amber's like very great game clocked for
She's had her number for a while.
Yeah, and she's
Yeah.
really the only person in the game who's had it.
Yeah,
Nicole,
what did Cody think of Amber? I know Cody wanted to take
Cody would have gotten washed by
Cody
now.
wanted to
I
take
think Cody
Amber.
really underestimated
Cody,
Amber's game.
yeah.
Okay,
Cody
that's what I
wanted to
thought.
take
I don't
Amber
think
and got
Cody.
wiped.
Cody. It was interesting how Cody, I feel like, was one of the only people who clocked how hard it was going to be to get Nicole out early, and like kind of like struggle with that more than anybody else did, other than like maybe people on the other side of the house. But like,
I think he just
but he
focused
did
on
not
Nicole too
see Amber's
much.
game for what it was at all.
I think he was blinded by the Nicole of it all to even think about the Amber.
He was
I
blinded
have to-
by just
Nicole
needing
was
to
the
get
big
Nicole out
game. Like I take out
or-
Nicole, I win. It's the kind of like you take out Isabel, you win.
The
You take
Which
jury,
is
out
fair.
he
Leah,
won
you
because
win.
his number one goal since like final fucking 7, he could not achieve.
Yeah.
Literally.
And
We'll get
Nicole
into
didn't
I-
about that.
Well,
too
we'll
much.
get there. We'll get there.
His goal
Yeah.
though makes total sense because I think out of the final 3, Nicole fits the bill of Rewind's winner best compared to past winners. Like winners are often the social comp threats, and I think her game matches up with that very well. But it's more of those like minute decisions, like your jury management or evicting Joey, and just how you in your relationships that I think made the difference, especially with such a competitive alternative.
Yeah.
Going back to what we said in the very beginning, I just want to reiterate, I think this is like unequivocally the best final 3 we've ever had.
Yeah,
The strongest final
I
3.
agree.
It's not that I don't think we've had strong final 3, but like I just think as far as I know and from what I've seen, like this is just like, and it's just the only time I've ever been like I could happily watch any 3 of them win. Like I have preferences. Any one could have won, and I think the season would have a satisfying winner and a satisfying final 2.
And that does not happen very often.
And I think all 3 of them had win conditions too.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I know there's the whole everyone's like, oh well, Nicole wouldn't have won, whatever.
No, Nicole
think that's
could have
true.
won if Nicole did better in questioning.
Nicole could have won if she had actually like slayed out the final 2 questions.
Because honestly,
No.
I think she made it closer than what it was gonna be.
Yes, I do too.
She flipped Hayden probably.
But it wasn't like her taking Cody was a death sentence. I do think there was a path where if she had before done better jury management, but even putting that aside, if she had just had a stronger speech and was better at questioning, I do think she could have won.
Yeah.
Before we get into the final 2 and everything that happened there, real quick, and we can count down 3, 2, 1 and say it at the same time because I'm sure we are in agreement. We are awarding an MVP. We've done it every cycle. We're gonna continue through the end. We got to finish strong. We're gonna give out MVP points and then do trainer of the episode for final 3. Cycle 14 at this point.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and then we'll all say who we think is the MVP. Are we ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Nick
Frankie Grande.
Nicole and Franzel Arroyo. I'm sorry, what?
Shut up, Shanks. Good
Great.
lord.
Ew.
Yes. I think we would all largely say the same thing. Nicole, albeit she did put herself in almost a lose-lose situation. I think there was some wiggle room there. But she did, at the end, correctly make the decision of cutting Amber and taking Cody to the end. She also did really handily win part 1. And if it wasn't for like a silly mistake, she would have outright won part 3 by just straight up points. And then it did end up going to a tiebreaker, but Cody wasn't even close on the tiebreaker. So she did clutch out final HOH, which plenty of people in Rewind's past have not been able to do. So gotta give her props.
For me, it's like the only other person that wasn't evicted would have made the wrong decision if given power. So therefore, she won having the right read.
Yeah.
So Sydney, would you also give Nicole your trainer of the episode for the final 3 as well?
Absolutely. You know, I love women. I love to support women, even though women actually lost the whole season. But yeah, just for all this reason, she not only won herself to final two, but she also made the correct read in getting out Amber over Cody. So I think it's like clear that she did everything she needed to do to try to win.
Slay. So let's get into that final two, baby. Nicole
Wait,
and Cody.
I want to still do the loser. This is my favorite part.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
Sydney, how about we'll all just sit here and you can deliver your last loser piece of shit, garbage, gutter troll, asshole bitch, loser MVP. How about
But
that?
No, I know she's gonna pick Donnie.
Yeah.
If I could, I would.
You're honestly right.
If I fucking could, I would.
Sydney, the floor is yours. Who is the last LVP
Right.
of the season?
I'm so honored to have this opportunity. So my final LVP, Lisa Vanderpump, is Cody.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
She did that so sweetly.
in a way, it could have been Amber, obviously, because Amber left, and like Amber did kind of flop in the competitions, but I mean, honestly, pretty much Cody did too. So I think why I would give it to Cody over Amber is literally Cody has had one goal. Cody had the chance many moons ago to get rid of Nicole. And I'm not saying he did or did not make the right decision at that time, but he didn't use that opportunity to get her out. And ever since then, he's been trying to get her out because that's all he's wanted is make a final two and don't take Nicole. And he got to go to final two, but he did not get Nicole out. He was not able to beat her when it mattered the most in any of these endgame competitions.
Well, okay, wait. I want to play devil's advocate for a second because obviously he would have lost to Amber. But if he brings Nicole, does that invalidate everything they say
Final
about
HOH was
Nicole's
gonna
game?
lose, I think.
Yeah,
Final
that's what
HOH
I
was gonna lose
think.
the game.
I
There's a
think
narrative at that point.
I think that if Cody wins and takes Nicole, it validates like everything that Nicole was saying the entire
She
time.
didn't have to win out. Cody was loyal.
Yeah.
Like,
So honestly, I
Yeah.
think in that case, I think Nicole wins. It
Mhm.
really cannot be understated enough that if what he wanted to happen happened and he won that final HOH, that he was going to cut Nicole and take Amber, and he was going to handily lose to
Right.
Amber.
But
I
from
think
his perspective, I think that makes sense to cut Nicole because
Yeah.
I
whenever
think so
this huge
too.
threat,
Yeah.
this comp beast, the social player versus the more subtle player, when you're someone as flashy as Cody, if I was Cody, I would want to sit next to Amber and I would be
Yeah.
wrong. But like,
Especially
I
because,
totally
again,
agree.
this is such a jury of characters and flashy people. I think he just assumed they would respect his game, one that was a bit more like villainous and out there over Amber, who was well liked, but like admittedly really did nothing. Like Amber didn't really make, for the most part, anything happen.
It was
I would
really a
say
survival
yes
game.
and no.
No,
I
I know, I do. She at the end of things, like I'm saying that she never won power and used that to get somebody out. Of
Yeah,
course,
that is
Amber
correct.
like was socially
There's a Dr.
influential
Will.
enough that she would sometimes be a key vote. So I do think in that sense, yeah, she did. It wasn't that she didn't do anything, but I think when you put her next to someone like Nicole or Cody, who were in power and had a target and tried to go after
directly,
the target,
publicly did stuff.
it just looks
Yeah.
a little bit, it looks more flashy because then also when you're trying to defend a game that was all in the shadows, not everyone, you're kind of just having to say like, well, I said this and I did this. Whereas when someone's like, I obviously won this competition and I obviously was targeting this person, it's a little bit easier to prove, more
Yeah.
flashy.
that's true.
I think
Go
if
ahead.
you win final HOH, there's an expectation for you to cut the biggest threat, make the biggest
Yeah.
move. A lot of
Yeah.
times there's more nuance to it in terms of perception.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a lose-lose where you just don't want the power, you don't want to get the blood in your hands because then you just look better versus making a mistake.
Yeah.
We did talk about that last week. Swan specifically talked about it where it's frustrating because they're like these big in-game comps, and then because of Nicole won the competition, it made her like it would actually end up making her look weak for having to make the moves that she was making and cutting.
Yeah.
And it like undercuts the entire game that she's put together throughout the season. I think I'm
She
pretty sure
had
I
to
talked about it last
win
week. But I would like to take this moment to have a moment of Amber solidarity and celebrate our third place player of the season, Queen Amber, because I think she did
Queen.
a lot in the game. I think she was probably the strategic backbone of most of the game. She had the best reads consistently, I think, throughout the game. in terms of positioning and where she needed to be and who she needed to work with. She made key alliances finally, which is so funny because she started off the game with like no alliances, and then she ended up putting herself in the right position between the different pieces and the different sides going on. And I don't think she played as flashy of a game, but I thought it was such a cool game, one that we don't see often, that comes from someone kind of manipulating their place as a block star as being someone that is so liked, but who's been on the block so much and taken so many votes. Because I mean, Amber had like over how many votes did she have against her? It was
4 total. Okay.
yeah, that's what I thought. She had more than just like a few from Hayden, right? Like it wasn't like
The
she
vote that killed her, then there was the vote from her, pity votes from a hanky vote from Hayden, a pity vote from Caleb, and another hanky vote. Yeah.
yeah,
just,
there were
no one wanted Amber out until she actually left this one. So.
she had multiple votes against her that weren't just
Yeah.
from like Hayden being Hayden. Like it
It was
was
Caleb being Caleb though.
And like, even though I feel like as a spectator, she had less main character energy than Cody and Nicole, I would have been so happy with her winning for that unique
I would have
lifestyle
too.
that I respect so much.
Yeah.
She wasn't on my initial draft, and by the way, I'm the winner of the draft, just so we all
He
throw
is.
that out
It's
there.
true.
That's true.
But I like had some time after the game started to make adjustments, and I saw her, and I was like, "Oh, I need this bitch."
Yeah, it was. She was awesome this season. We absolutely love Amber. And she played the best strategic game on the season by far, in my opinion, and would have swept the jury basically if she would have gotten to the end. And just had a couple things broken her way differently. But that's Big Brother. You know, part of Big Brother is getting lucky and having the comps break the right way for you. Um, so you know, good for. I mean, if Cody had won the tiebreaker, Amber would have won the game.
Yeah,
You know, like it's
I think Amber's major problem in the game, I think she only really had one, which obviously like kind of either directly or indirectly got us to this point where she did fall short of the final two. But I think Amber had a lot of very good positioning, obviously, and she was insulated basically the entire season and wasn't going to go home against like anybody basically the entire season, and that's well and good, and that obviously can get you,
especially in a battle of the block season.
Yeah,
where there's so many nominations constantly
and that's
happening.
very good, and that can get you to the end of the game like it did for her, obviously. But I think where Amber thrived so much in positioning and like relationships and everything with people, I unfortunately don't think she was able to like exact a lot of like what's the right word for it? She wasn't able to have the most like agency
Yeah.
in the game.
Yeah.
She could think like a lot of the times the thing that was good for her game did happen and she did contribute to that happening, but it wasn't directly like Amber is exerting her like will on this game and it's happening because of Amber. You know what I mean?
I think she played a good survival game. I think she had a good social positioning game, and I think she had a good jury management game. But part of her jury management is because it was all people that thought she was on their side getting evicted by the other side. Like,
yeah, and it was
so
her not having to make the move to cut the people specifically.
Yeah,
which is kind of
But she
interesting.
played the middle. Hello.
Yeah.
No, I agree. One thing I found interesting in jury was that Joey said something along the lines of like, "I never even considered that Amber was working with anybody but me and Hayden and Caleb," and it was like, "Ma'am."
But that blue hair
Okay, but
Because at least Nicole and Cody kind of had Amber pretty clocked. I feel like they knew she had options.
Okay.
It's so interesting to me that so much of the jury was so high on her as well, because I feel like we saw a very similar situation in the very most recent season before this with Sombra in 15, but it was like the direct opposite. People were so...
It's because Sombra was making horrible moves and explicitly burning jurors, like explicitly burning jurors to protect Isabel. And
I guess,
and
yeah.
it pissed
That's
people
the
off.
thing. Well, she was kind of writing too hard for the front runner of the season,
Yeah.
so it was like you can't be someone's lapdog. I was trying to get
Someone's
a rise
bitch.
out of Shanks.
They would, I believe that's
And
what
also again, it was kind of the opposite of like thing. Like they played similar games, but Sombra I think had to be a bit more active in people going home, so she was confused. Because think, if Amber had sent Joey home, if Amber had sent Hayden home, any of these people, they would have been confused and they would have been mad. Maybe not Hayden.
Yeah.
Hayden's reasonable. And Sombra had to do that, whereas Amber just kind of had to be like, "Oh, sorry, Nicole won another comp, girl. We're done." Ugh,
Oh,
better root for me
girl,
and
you know
Jury.
how it
Girl, you
goes.
know how it goes.
That damn Nicole. Like, here she
Yeah,
goes
that's a
again.
good
Mamma
point.
Mia.
That's a very good point. But yes,
That's Swan, that was really funny. That really tickled me. That was really good.
our fallen angel has
Poor one out. Played
flitted
of the
away
season.
on her angel wings off to Jury. And we have our final two.
Ooh,
Cody
ooh.
Calafiore
Iconic.
and Nicole Franzel.
The faces of the season.
Yeah,
Truly, the main
Yeah.
characters, like,
The main
honestly.
characters.
I would
Yeah.
say
Early
so.
on, the main character.
I
From
would've
the very
loved the
beginning,
world.
like, I didn't draft Nicole, but I feel like if we had waited like a couple more days to draft, I would have drafted Nicole immediately. You could tell right off the bat, like, Nicole was one of the main characters, Cody was one of the main characters, and Zach and Derek seemed like early front runners to be main characters as
Yeah.
well, and they just flamed out for different various reasons.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't pick Nicole. I'm surprised nobody wouldn't pick Cody, even though he had the most draft
That's
picks.
really funny.
Wild.
Cody read to me as the social player who's gonna do really well and like get his shit clocked and like sniped. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
kind of
I
thought he would
thought
make
like
it all
third
the
or
way.
fourth or something, like where he wouldn't be taken to the final, because I didn't think he'd have the ability to win comps to get himself far, and I figured that he would be like so socially like clocked because it was so like wild energy in the DR. But like we said, Cody did a great job throughout the season of masking that energy with his fellow house guests, that so they didn't see like the crazy villainy wild situation going on in the background. So I think I definitely underestimated Cody in that regard.
Yeah, and I've been talking about it a lot behind closed doors and behind his back this season. But I'm ready to live my truth and I'm ready to speak it into existence. I've been saying
Emmanuel, buckle up, bitch.
I've been saying that Cody this season has played like the game that Jeff played on Big Brother 11, like plus like 4 or whatever. It's been like it's like the upgraded version of like Big
The
Jeff's
mega
game.
evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And it has like a lot of the same.
Except
like,
we added a fighting type.
yeah.
Oh my god.
It,
So you can actually win comps.
honestly, what it really boils down to is that Cody is like Jeff if
They're
Ray could
fighting.
win a fucking competition to save his life. Like that's
I mean, really,
Oh.
what it boils down to is that Ray is a terrible Big Brother player who should basically retire from Discord.
Not too much
I'm
of
just
like
kidding.
Sure,
shitting
yeah.
I
sucks
fucking
at
love Ray.
comps.
Ray has beat me in an All Stars
He's a
org
comp.
before.
Ray is an
Ray's
icon.
Ray is
Ray's a social
Ray.
legend. I love Ray so much.
I will be loyal to Ray forever.
Ray is
Love
an absolute like social like juggernaut in any
Yes.
org that he's put in. And he's not a slouch strategically. Like he can identify the right decision to make and do it.
Mhm.
And Ray will be the first one to tell you himself he cannot win a fucking comp to save his life.
Yeah.
And
he
like
won't.
and it's just not gonna happen. I don't know how he won that one
yeah.
H in season 11. It was touchy subjects actually. So
That's why.
another similarity. Cody also won
Ooh,
touchy
true.
subjects with his
Yeah.
perfect.
The only thing that could have made this better, which this was an amazing final two, I was so fucking excited for this,
Yeah.
was because Cody was so clearly villain of the season for so many weeks now. Like it was like pre-jury where it was like when Derek left, I was like, oh, this is the fucking villain of the season. And he was awesome. He was such a fun villain. It would have been even sweeter if Nicole had been the obvious hero of the season. Like how nice would that have been to have like the hero and the villain fighting it out? But I don't think I mean,
I
Nicole's not
agree, and I
villain hero,
voted.
but I
I
also don't-
voted accordingly. I mean, I understand the choice for Brittany, just because, but to me, it was like Nicole was the main character, so I put her for hero.
I think she was the main character, but I don't think she was very I didn't vote for her because I just didn't think she was like very heroic.
If there was an ingenue role, I would have voted Nicole for the ingenue.
I think Nicole was the protagonist of the
but
season.
yeah, but I don't think hero would be the correct.
don't think
She was
description.
the player, she was the face, she was the gag, she was the cunt, but she was not the hero. In every other way,
Yeah.
except for that one thing, this final two for me was perfect. I was very happy with either who won. And I do think it's extremely fun that a true villain won the season.
So they gave their speeches. I
Yeah.
thought that Cody's, I liked the overall pitch of it. The formatting of just week by week, I'm just like, I do
Yeah.
not want to read all of
I
it.
feel like both were
Yeah.
kind of subpar. To be
But, you
honest.
know-
Nicole's was way too short.
Yeah.
I thought
Cody's
Nicole
was
was
way
gonna
too
come
long.
out with a pink PowerPoint presentation, like thesis, like all this. No, she was just like, hey y'all, this was really fun. I like Pokemon and Big Brother.
Donnie, here's your goodbye message. I love
That
playing with
is
you.
gonna have no substance
my
to it.
That was
God.
Hope I
bad.
don't see you too soon.
That was really bad. The
Like,
Donnie goodbye message at the very beginning before everything else.
And then it just being the cutesy bullshit, like
Yeah.
nothing.
Gaggerina, but gagged in the worst way possible. Like,
So
Yeah.
bad.
I could not believe. I think Nicole said in either her subs or her DR that I don't think the player has played a lot of Big Brother games before. I think they said that they're not used to jury questioning and speeches.
Well, I
Yeah.
know that they came from Survivor because I know the presses
Yeah.
door is Max's iconic moment for me.
Yes. So
The
I do
what
think
is?
that they said
Maybe they'll
that
make the end moment.
they're not very familiar with jury questioning in final two of Big Brother, and I think
Yeah.
that definitely came through.
Yeah,
But
that
also,
was definitely a detriment.
a little bit out of their defense, even though I watched Big Brother a lot in middle school, I had never made it to final two except for the second time I ever played. And the way I tried to figure out how to write my speeches, I just went back to a bunch of old seasons and read what people wrote, like of BBR. Like I
Yeah.
read a bunch of people's final two speeches, and that's how I decided to do my speech. What?
Oh, that makes sense.
So
No.
I do think, like, because I was not familiar with how to do it. I wasn't even familiar with how to vote in final three or final four or whatever. Like I didn't know what the fuck was going on. So I
For
do
me,
think there are ways
For
to.
me, I'm always like a good solid opening statement that covers
Mhm.
everything, but is a bit broader. Um, establishes like broad strokes of what was good about your game while mentioning specific moves that were really, really
Mhm.
important. And then going into a bit more detailed thing, but only as much detail as you need to. Bold things that are super important so that if somebody's skimming, they can just read that. And even if it has to be week by week, like some weeks aren't important. It's like some weeks it's
Yeah.
like, okay, Nicole won HOH, and like,
You can group
girl, I
stuff
just
in.
vibed. Like
Yeah.
that's fine. And then go into detail on the weeks that you need to, and then another like, hey, like bold message, hey, if you're gonna read anything, read from here below, please. Thank you so much. And then like have a final closing statement that
Yeah.
kind of reflects
Yeah.
that
At
opening.
least Cody did that much where
He
he had
did,
the
yeah, I
opening,
agree.
and
Because
then he was like,
even as a
please read
host,
the finale part.
I skimmed the fuck out of his mid part. I was like,
I did not
even
read
the
the
weeks he
part.
told me to focus on, I did not read. I'm
Yeah,
so sorry, Emmanuel.
I always think, like Swan said, it's really good to have like your opening statement, and then I always include I include like a conclusion and a TLDR of
Yes.
read this. This
You
is
should have
Yeah.
both.
skip everything.
Because here's the thing,
with the
there are
TLDR.
try-hard jurors that are like, I want to read every
Yes.
single moment and everything said, make sure I'm making the most informed decision. And then there's some jurors who are like, fuck y'all, I'm not at the end. Like, just tell me something so I can make my fucking
And
vote.
Yeah.
let
And
it
you
be
need to
known
appeal to both of them.
if I was a juror, I would have read every word just because I want to make sure I'm making
Oh yeah.
a fair decision.
Same,
But like
yeah.
as a spectator, I was like, I don't give a fuck. But even if I was a juror, I'd be like annoyed scrolling through all of it. And I feel like structuring things just chronologically. I mean, like chronological makes sense, but every single week just is like, what's the point?
Oh
I
yeah.
think you want to tell a story and like focus on the highlights of your
Yeah.
story and sell the narrative.
My
and
favorite
make it
split is like pre-jury and then jury and
Yeah.
then like kind of like finale end game.
Yeah.
That's
that's
kind of how I
good.
usually split my
Yeah.
I agree, because nobody cares about pre-jury stuff unless
no.
there are key weeks that are super important. I have
And
like
then you can
highlighted
talk
pre-jury
about
things
that
before.
when you split it up
But
that way. You can be like, this is the
exactly.
important part of the pre-jury. This is the important
Exactly.
thing that I did. This is and it's just a lot more concise.
No, Cody literally could have summarized his entire pre-jury in one sentence, other than the week with Derek, where he was put up with Jocasta and asked.
Yeah,
to steal.
exactly.
Look, that's the only week that required like more than a few sentences of explanation. But his entire pre-jury strategy, otherwise, was just be social, throw competitions.
Yeah, literally, he just could have been like, I was allies with Zach, and I let him kind of run crazy while still clocking his game. And then I was at risk, and I decided to convince my alliance to fuck themselves over in exchange for me guaranteed safety because I'd rather not take the risk.
Mhm.
Boom! Like,
For comparing their games, though, I did have Cody higher because I felt like while he and Nicole were similarly positioned, I felt like in terms of long-term positioning, he was able to be in this great spot where he had these social connections. He wasn't winning too much where everyone was gunning for him, and he was able to still control things without competition wins. So I was personally very impressed with the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm impressed
I
with
would
both
agree.
games. I like it so
Me-
incredibly. So like I'm like we've said a million times, like great final three, great final two. The reason I found for jury so frustrating is it just like it didn't always line up. It was very contradictory. It was like, okay, Nicole only got here because of competition wins. And at the same time, it's like what you're also not recognizing with that is that Cody's only here because of Nicole's competition wins.
Yeah.
Um
But then
and
you go
and
back to
and
that's a thing that Cody predicted, and that's why Cody kept Nicole over
yeah,
Jocasta.
exactly.
But then you had jurors saying that that was like a bad move that he did that when it's literally the entire reason that he was in the final. Like it was
And that's
frustrating to
Nicole's
watch.
responsibility to make that case to them.
Yes,
No,
yeah,
Yeah,
I
she
agree.
couldn't
I
do
agree, and
that.
that's where she failed in this final two. Is she failed to push back against certain points and certain narratives that I think clouded the jurors' judgment. And she could have fought harder against those perceptions, and instead she just kind of like vibed.
And we kind of talked about that too. We talked about how Nicole kept, because she was almost forced to, because everyone kept bringing up Nicole's big end game, or like second half of the game, really, not even get end game competition run that got her to this spot, which it was pretty much in agreement from at least everyone that spectated the season that that was by and large the less impressive part of
Yeah.
the game than it was from that first half,
yeah.
where she was so incredibly like social and so well positioned between so
And
many people.
strategically dominating and having
Yeah.
all the right reads
Yeah.
every single week
'Cause
about
I
every single person.
really do think that in that first half of the game, Nicole like socially and strategically dominated that first
Yeah.
half.
So,
And the
and
second half, she like physically dominated the competitions.
Wow.
And
She just
everyone
didn't bring
kept,
up her social game that much. I felt
well,
And
like
yeah,
and
because she kept having to defend
to
to the
defend
jury, because
the
all the jury
physical.
kept bringing up and all Cody kept bringing up was that second half and framing it as like her having to comp to the end. So that's really what she was focusing on from the beginning, when really she should have been focusing on that first half. But
and also focusing on how the first half made the second half possible,
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
um she had shields like Derek, who were the pre-jury head on a spike, like needed him dead before her. Because of the social connection she made with Hayden, she was like, they played a murky like middle game, like her and Brittany and Hayden for a little bit, where like they were on opposite sides, but the three of them kind of got along. I
yeah.
thought she did that really well. And then having having somebody like Brittany as her closest ally who was equally as good at comps, because that was super important, because any other week, like any other scenario, Nicole would have been backdoored under that HOH where she and Brittany went up. But because she had like an equally threatening ally, it was that theory of like, we've got to put them on the block next to each other. And what did she do? She won veto against the other comp beast and protected herself the one time one of her allies didn't win. And she just should have been like nailing all of those points, as to be like, this is why, like, yes, I comped out, but like, A, do you want me to throw a competition? Like, I would have literally said to jurors, like, did you want me to throw a competition so that I could like just prove that I could get here socially? Because like this, like, I already had a solid social game. That's my
Yeah.
backup for if I'm on the block as a final nominee. If I can prevent that from happening in the first place, why the fuck am I not going to do that? You
Yeah.
know?
Another thing that she didn't mention that I noticed, like she never said the whole reason that her threat level got so high to where she had to. She mentioned it, but she was just like the 44 avoided nominations. She never said like people caught on that I never went up and were trying to take me out for like, what am I gonna do? Ask to be a pawn? No. What am I gonna do? Like, yeah, I stayed off the block for X amount of
And also,
time,
how fucking
and
impressive that she stayed
yeah,
off the
and you
block for.
can't
I
like
think she
you got
did
this
the
thing.
math on it. She even pointed out it was like 44 total nominations
Yeah,
or
she
something
did
It was
not
like
get
crazy.
threat level
nominated.
management, but like there's only so much you can avoid when you don't go up at all through the entire battle of the block phase. And everyone can see that. Like there's only so much you can do to manage that kind of a threat level.
I mean,
Unless we're like
Derek,
fucking, especially post Derek
IRL
in a post
Derek.
Derek world where people are looking for that now though. And people are comparing her, calling her real Derek in their DRs and stuff. Like Hayden was doing it, Donna was doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just frustrating to watch Nicole play a really, really good game that was supplemented by her competition wins, and then have her game reduced to just those competition wins by the jury, especially when she wasn't really standing up for herself. I think that's what I missed the most from this final two questioning is I just feel like Nicole went in knowing that the jury was not happy with her, but she didn't give them any reason to like her in the questioning. Like she didn't stick up for herself. She didn't really push in order to have them flip the narrative. This is stupid on a lot of levels, but Joey was like with Joey's reasoning for who she voted for, she said, "Oh, Cody actually stood up for himself and told me why his game was right and why I was wrong, and Nicole didn't." And while I disagree with any of
Joey,
the premise,
I'm so over you. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I wanted to
like,
touch
while
on
I
that.
Joey's fan throughout the
too.
season, but in the end, you lost me, girl.
Like,
I have to touch on that one briefly though, because it's also like Nicole's person. I think it came down to the person that people are going to answer the questions as their personalities, and
yeah,
Nicole's never, besides at us hosts, she's never been that confrontational. She's
yeah.
generally been a kind,
And
sweeter person, so she's not going to like go into the jury argumentative.
But you
for,
can
She
be
for me,
kind
for me, my
while
number one
defending your
rule of
game
my
and standing
number
up
one
for
rule
yourself.
of final tribal, final two, whatever it is do not fight with jurors. However, the way this cast works and the way their mind works, I honestly think it would have been better.
Cody was argumentative. So
Donnie
he was
wanted
gonna
somebody
fight
who
back.
said they were that they thought he had his vote. Like they were just like throwing shit
And then
out
they
there.
both said it, and Donnie.
I said this in spec chat, and I think it's just something I want to have spoken vocally as we're talking about this, because I think most everyone here disagreed at least sometimes with where the jury was going and what their questions were, but we also saw it like, I think Cody actually did a very good job in the questioning. I don't think
I
Nicole
do.
did very good, like we're talking about. But all I'll say is what's so difficult about jury questioning is that, first of all, almost no one in jury ever has all the information. So so they're already coming from a place where all they have is the information that they left with and the information that they're being given from the final two, and I guess other people in jury. But the second thing is, even when we have all the information, like the spectators, not all of us agree. Like Jack voted for Cody to win. I still wanted Nicole to win, and I think she still deserved it more than Cody, but I don't think Cody didn't deserve it. And so there's gonna be disagreements even with people with all the information. And at the same time, it's such a conundrum because it's like the way jury works is you are trying to appeal to these people because you need their vote to win, and you're also trying to sell yourself as someone like, I'm so powerful that I got you out, but I'm also someone you should still respect and like, even if, I'm the one who got you out of the game, or if it's my fault that you left. I mean, she voted out Amber. Amber didn't really leave upset at Nicole specifically. I think Amber was just upset, generally speaking.
Amber said she was bitter. I think she was bitter at circumstance. Because how can you
Yeah,
go to the
she
jury
was
and
bitter,
get
but
that
not at all.
reaction and be bitter? Like you can't be bitter because she made the right choice. Like
No, I don't think she was at all. I mean, I really don't think she was, or she didn't externally convey that. So it also
no.
shows that Nicole was able to get people out and not leave the bitter her. I mean, honestly, out of everyone, Nicole like pretty much got out in the house. Amber probably had the most reason to be bitter, and she wasn't. So I know Nicole had the ability to convince people like, maybe I'm the reason why you're here, but you should still vote for me. But it's just so subjective and it's so emotional, and it's like, as I think maybe everybody here agrees with this, but when we're in jury, I try to put my feelings aside and just vote for who I think really deserves to win it. Like I try to be like more objective than subjective, but like at the end of the day, you're always going to have feelings about who's in the final two. Like they could be all positive, they could be all negative, it could be a mix, but it's difficult for people to separate between like an objective state of mind based on limited information and then also how they feel about things. So all that to say, even though I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff the jury was saying and their opinions about things, like I also did understand like your job, if you're in the final two, is to convince them. Like, and even if you're up against a difficult jury, which does suck, because sometimes you're going to be up against an easier jury. Sometimes you're going to be up against a jury like this who is very skeptical of your game and who doesn't see very obvious things that we all see as like, this is so obvious that she did this well. But at the end of the day, that's the hand you were dealt. It's your job to convince them.
I fully agree.
I agree with all of that. I think the thing that was just frustrating for me watching this fight.
Oh, it was frustrating for me too. I'll say that.
Was that we didn't see Nicole, like you can stand up for yourself without arguing with the jury.
Oh, absolutely.
You can be kind however, or whatever you want to call it. But you can stand up for yourself in your game and talk through your game points without like fighting with the jury. And I actually think they both did a good job of not fighting with the jury because there were plenty of opportunities
Just with
for them
each
to do
other.
so. Because I mean, Zach was literally adding them and saying like, "This is boring. You guys suck." Blah 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 blah. Sorry, I'm just venting.
Did they even respond
Literally
to that
said
when he said
that.
that?
No,
Good.
nor should they.
And neither of them responded, and they shouldn't have. But like there was tons of opportunity for them to fight with the jury, and I'm proud of both of them, especially Cody, for not doing it.
No, I agree.
However, like
Which-
they could have stood up for
On
themselves
hands at
more.
this
A
jury.
big part of it is narrative, and like the
Yeah.
jury set one narrative, and I almost feel like Nicole like bought into their narrative too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
herself believed it, and that's why she
She
lost.
didn't believe in
Instead of
herself
coming in,
in her
Yeah.
own
like
game.
knowing what her own game was and willing to stand up and fight for it. Because I think if she was willing to do that, she could have turned the tables, but
Yeah.
she played on the field that they set. I think that's what cost her.
Yeah, and it's like what
Yeah.
we said earlier. We came in to this final two, and this jury came into the final two wanting to look for reasons to not have Nicole win.
Yeah.
Like they all said that they were expecting, and clearly a lot of them were like, "Oh, this season is so boring." Blah da 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 da. This is such
That was
the
so
expected
crazy.
Can we
outcome.
unpack that? Like, where's that coming from?
It's all a
Because-
matter of perspective,
Mhm.
and so I can understand. I can understand it if that's where they're coming from, to where they're not quite seeing
Yes.
everything. They're a little bitter because their side didn't come out on top. You know, couldn't even make it to final two. You know, they couldn't even get their girl Amber in there. So I think I get it to a certain extent. It is indeed very frustrating to be on the opposite side of and look at and be like, how are you not like praising this final two as like such an iconic final two?
And also, I do not mean this in a shady way, but it's going to sound pretty shady. The number one person who was pushing this was a boring season was Zach, who literally got backdoored before most of the fun
Oh,
stuff
that's what was
happened.
crazy. Yeah.
Like
He was stuck in
that
jury.
was the reason why a lot of fun stuff happened, and then he got backdoored and then missed the rest of the season.
Other than the final two, I feel like Zach was the other person with that same caliber of social game.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He got bored and got
the way
rid of
he
it
played where it
himself.
got him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Zach
It's
literally
like
did what he did because he was bored, and Cody and Nicole held it together when they were bored, and that's why it was first and second. Versus
Well,
no,
I wouldn't say
no
Cody
shade,
always held
Ryan.
it together, but he made it through.
But I will say thank you for
They
your
didn't make moves for the
while you
sake
were
of
there.
making a move.
No,
oh
Like,
yeah,
they didn't
thank you,
blindside
Zach, for
Devin.
the entertainment, like for
Yeah, Zach was
real.
great.
No,
But
Yes,
also
of
like,
course.
sorry, sir, like
He had
if
no
you
reason
played
to
more
take out
boring,
Devin.
you
He had
would be
no reason to take
farther
out
in the
Garrett,
game.
I think.
Like we're
And it's
dunking on
okay
you. Mhm.
because the moment that all the votes were locked or whatever, and we let them into the reunion, I made sure to thank Cody and Nicole for such a great season.
And we got
so
Zach's "What's with the
entertaining.
tomatoes" moment because of Zach.
Okay, I do want to say before we move on, we need to give Cody his props because his final two questioning was great. Cody
did
had
a
a
great
great
job.
final two questioning.
He had a fire in him
Yeah.
that you could see, that was
There was
tangible.
the-
But I think Cody did an amazing job of selling his game, even to the point where, like, again, having all the facts on the outside, I was like, he's not even correct. But he said it very persuasively, and he said it in the way that he knew they wanted to hear it, and it was he said exactly what they wanted to hear to try to convince them to vote for him, because he also, I think, could tell they were looking for a reason not to vote Nicole.
Yes.
I think he probably that became clear. to him.
Well, part of what's
both
so
thought they
funny
lost
about
at the
I was
end.
gonna say is Cody spending the entire like final two freaking out, being like, "Well, I lost." Like they love Nicole.
They
Oh
all-
God,
Final
look at this
Two
answer.
always
They
knows
hate her.
that. They always say that shit. I don't what
I
final
don't
two
know.
is ever like the-
I've been kind
I've
of
seen some where the winner knows
very
that they won, and I've been a winner. Oh my god, I can
I've
tell
I've been
won. I can
told
tell
in a
that I
final I've
lost.
been told in a final two by a juror that I could stop answering questions because it was fine.
That's funny.
When I've heard that, it's been bad. So
For me, a big like factor in who I'm voting for is self-awareness. And I
Yes.
think, like I'm like the only person or one of the only people that voted Cody to win for the spectators vote.
The
And
only
I
person.
think for me, I did that because I was looking at the final two answers and speeches and really weighing how they evaluated their games, how they're selling their games, and like who recognized their own game and like could pitch it the best in a truthful way. And so I think that's why I was like so behind Cody winning, because like he saw what he did, he saw what he accomplished, and he like made sure the jury knew that.
I will
I did-
say I wanted Nicole to win this season. Again, like Sydney, I think any of the final three, I really wanted Amber to win for Amber Solidarity. But I think the thing is that I wanted Nicole to win at this point. But like Jack, if I was a jury member and I was watching these two performances happen, I probably would have voted for Cody because of the way he actively sold his game. Just like we've talked about it, that we don't feel like Nicole sold the right elements of her game. Cody sold the proper elements of his game. He knew exactly what the jury was looking for and was able to sell it to them. I mean, we even talked, I mean, spoiler alert, Hayden voted for Nicole and he said, I am voting for this person because I know they played a good game, regardless of
In spite of.
in spite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he said, I'm voting for this person because I know they played a good game in spite of their final two performance not selling themselves.
Oh my God. I love
Like,
Abe so much.
you
I
know
do
what I
think they're
mean?
both
Like,
great winners would have both been great winners, and Cody is a great winner,
agree.
I think.
I'm so excited that Cody did win because I think
For the
this
men.
a different direction for BB Rewinds for our winners. We normally don't have winners like this. Like Jack said, historically,
Yeah.
winners of BB Rewinds end up being those notes heavy, comp heavy, more like social note heavy person. Whereas we had Cody that was like a social strategic person. And we don't usually have that. And I'm really excited that hopefully this kind of sets a fun new wave of winners that are different than people who just like know life and like have like the best notes and study the whole time. I don't think just taking notes and winning the game is super fun. I do like our notes, like note aspects of our org. I really, really love it. And I mean,
Yeah.
obviously I'm a huge fan of the format, but it is nice to see a different kind of winner that we haven't
Yes.
seen in a while. I think that's really cool.
Everyone here is really good at comps, except for me. So that you guys probably can't understand this, but as someone who's genuinely not good at them and is like lazy and doesn't do note taking very well, I love seeing someone thrive who doesn't have to comp out to win. Now, I actually find comping out to be very impressive because I can't do it. Like when someone does it, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like I literally, like me watching Nicole is like, God damn, like could never be me. Even watching Caleb win, like however many weeks in a row Caleb won.
And she had legitimate competition too. She just took them out in the correct order.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah,
saying, like,
yeah.
as someone who would enter a jury being like, oh my God, Nicole, I think it's really impressive that she did all the things she did plus comped out. I would also have maybe been persuaded. Like, I think I was actually persuaded by Cody. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
came into as a host, I came into final two being like, Nicole needs to win this. I knew she might not, but I really wanted her to. And at the end of the day, like I was kind of like, damn, maybe Cody should win.
Yeah,
Like,
I had the same experience.
as
I
someone
mean,
with all the
and
information, I'm like, damn, like I don't know, guys. Like,
yeah, someone talked about how Nicole's game was diminished into her like her competition wins. I think a lot of that is due to Cody and like
yeah.
how he framed the final two. It's like what we said, how Nicole kept having to defend that part of her game and kept having to like emphasize that part of her game because that's like what Cody kept going for and kept.
Cody was good
last
at poking
season-
holes. Cody was good at poking holes in her game.
Yeah,
Mhm.
last
She's
season,
not
I
good at
would
defending
say
that.
Shinx's final two speeches and questioning is one of the strongest points of his game. And this season,
Mhm.
I would say the same about Cody. And that's
Yeah.
considering every other strong element as well.
So Jocasta asks a question about something. I don't fully remember, but Jocasta asks a question and critiques Nicole on like her not having a contingency plan in the game if like she did lose a competition, like what was going to happen if you lost a competition, were you just going to get evicted or whatever? And Nicole gives a kind of like middling answer, which is by and large like what she gave for a lot of the jury. Nicole specifically cited at the final seven where if she had have lost veto and stayed on the block next to Brittany, that she would have had the votes to stay through Cody and Amber, and that she would have just had to get one more person. And then at the very end, like with that, after not even a second, Cody just says, I would have used the veto on Brittany if I wanted at final seven. And then it just started like snowballing from there, and it got to the point where they were just arguing with each other. in the jury questionings.
Well,
and
my
finding
favorite
Sandra.
part of that I think Nicole should hammer down on more of is she's like, you can keep saying what you wanted to do, but like, guess what? You couldn't
Yeah.
beat me at a competition, so you couldn't do shit.
Yeah.
I think that was the highlight of her answers to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You should have done more of that. Like me
Yeah.
punching Sombra in the face.
That's
I
the
think-
fire I want to see, and we were eating.
Yeah,
It was so
I
good.
think a lot of that stems from, though, we talked about Cody being able to poke holes in Nicole's game from the very beginning, before they even posted their speeches. Cody said, I'm gonna lie to Nicole and tell her that I was gonna take her to final two. That way
She
she's
asked him straight
wrong
up,
about it
and
in
she
her
was like,
speech and isn't
haha.
able to put it in her speech. And then
Yep.
I'm gonna say that I was gonna cut her. Jack, is that new information?
Did you not know
I
that?
don't think I caught that, and I
Yeah,
love that. That's why he's villain of the
She
season.
asked,
That's
she
genius.
asked him,
That's
Cody, are
great
you voting me?
strategy.
Were you gonna vote me? And he was like, no. Runs to
He
the
said-
ER. Yes.
Up
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
literally the last second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is why
And
I
she was
voted
like,
for
I
this
knew you
season
were
of this.
lying. And he was like, yeah, I had to make you look stupid or something.
Yeah.
It was
So
really
he was doing that
Cody
whole thing
agreed with that.
because the thing is Cody kept things from Nicole. Nicole didn't really keep things from Cody. So Cody was able to whip that stuff out. Like, oh, I would have actually vetoed Brittany at final 7. Like during these exchanges and during the jury questioning, because again, he was playing more villainous. He was
His
lying to
Survivor
Nicole the entire
D,
game.
his Survivor D. Can I say something? Moment.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Can I respond?
Yeah.
So,
So that was honestly my favorite part of this whole thing was Cody was straight up lying to Nicole. That way she'd put wrong information in her speech and wouldn't be
I
able
love
to correct it, and then he could eat her up for it.
It was
So
Pretty
it was
awesome.
very good.
Does anyone else have any final thoughts on speeches or questioning or any of that aspects?
Max, if you make final 2 again, just do what Emmanuel did. That's all I'll say.
I will say Brittany also, we talked about how Brittany was scared to give like a layup question to Nicole and scared to try and like take her moment to like beef up Nicole because they thought that would just turn more jurors against her. She does do her best to like give Cody like kind of a scorching question and then give a layup question to Nicole, which so clearly the answer to should have been like Nicole
didn't go up for
convincing
nominations.
Cody to backdoor
Yeah,
Jocasta at final
too.
8. And Nicole just completely misses it and just like doesn't even, she like talks about something else.
I love being a cheerleader on jury, and Brittany was right to recognize that like they're not going to necessarily listen to her.
So finale, I was not able to make it live, but does anyone have any thoughts, feelings, or
Well,
stories?
so votes locked.
I was
think-
not there.
So we are literally sitting at 4-4 from the host perspective because Nicole has the heavy lead in the spec vote, and
Yeah.
it literally was Caleb the last to vote.
It was
Yeah.
Caleb and
Yes.
Amber. Caleb was about to vote, went to ask more questions. Amber came, asked a question, answered, voted, and it was just Caleb.
And so yeah, we have
In Caleb
yeah,
fashion.
4-4, and it's coming down to Caleb, and he asks his final questions, and sure enough, finally puts in his Cody vote, and we know
Apparently, I
hosts know
didn't.
the results.
I reminded Caleb that, hey, you have 2 hours to vote, as I always do. And Caleb just put in a vote and apparently didn't realize that that was locking the vote, even though he's been the last to vote in evictions before.
Also, would Caleb
And
have changed his vote anyway? No.
I don't think so, but
No.
I also said in the rules, like, because I didn't re-quote that section, I just said, like, you votes lock when they're all in or when 8 o'clock hits, whatever happens first. And then I restated something else because Joey asked the question. I didn't restate that portion. And Caleb was like, I'm not going to reread the first message if the second message is shorter. I was like, what? I was like, whatever.
And so with Caleb's vote,
Caleb's
votes locked,
entire game in a nutshell, everybody.
we get
Yeah.
to with Caleb's vote, we get to open reunion chat. Votes are locked, and normally I don't think we would really have much to cover in reunion, but we literally do get one of the awards like usurped during the reunion.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, best rivalry had rightfully at the time gone to Jocasta versus Joey, just because that was the most memorable fight.
That's
was
where
the-
I voted.
Thank
That's
you.
where I
They were
voted.
That's
they were
also where I
both very
voted.
entertaining characters who were known as being combative, so it naturally made the most sense.
They
It was
were out
also
for
like
each other's
lasted for
blood.
multiple rounds, exactly. However, one of the other options that had garnered quite a few votes along the way was Amber versus Caleb.
They just continually fought throughout the entire time of Amber entering jury. Like every once in a while, they were just
That's
barbs.
true. Yeah.
They were hating each other actively in their subs and in their DRs. Like it was a feud.
Yeah,
Cussed
and it would
Caleb
like
out.
start. Amber would say something, and then Caleb would reply, and then Amber would like smack him back. And then
Yes.
like Jocasta would like tag team in, and like Cody would have some passing comment.
Jocasta was willing to fight literally anybody that pissed her off, and I loved it.
And I respect it.
No, like literally, Jocasta has been in was in jury for a while, and she was like willing to pretty much put up with anybody who came in, even like people who were like, "Oh, hey guys," like not even trying to fight like Caleb was. She's like, "Fuck you, you're the reason I'm here."
Yeah,
And
I
liked
love
it.
that. I love that energy.
Me too.
But yeah, Caleb kind of gets his ass beat from a few different angles. Right as
Deserves.
the
Well, 'cause
reunion
Caleb's
starts.
argument
Jocasta
was
jumps in there.
people
Amber's
didn't try
already
and
whacking
include
him.
him in their game.
Like,
People
let's
didn't
just be
try
so fucking
socially
for
with
real.
him.
Like, no one talked to Caleb because Caleb was never here. Caleb never wanted to talk to anybody. Caleb would come, win Battle of the Blocker POV, and then fuck off for the rest of the week, not strategize, didn't want to be in alliances, didn't want to talk to anybody. And then he would get mad every week saying, "Why are people putting me up? They don't want to strategize with me." People literally pretty much implied or outright suggested for him to join an alliance with them, and they wouldn't join it. Because he didn't want to. He's like, "No, I'm good. Let's just talk in one-on-ones. We can figure it out." Hayden literally had to drag Caleb into the Blue Brigade side of the house to give him any meaning or any purpose in this game. And it was against Caleb's fucking will. And then, of course, the fucking minute that he was eligible to go away, they evicted him. Who, like, is anyone surprised? Caleb was the only person who was surprised. And also, Amber did fight him on the way out, and that maybe was a little bit tactless. But Amber, I mean, I get it.
It was so funny because Caleb had said the entire time, because people would like come into the jury and people would ask like, who are we voting for? Like, who do we want to win? And people would say Amber, and Caleb would be like, "Oh well, I'm not gonna vote for Amber. She cussed me out on the way out."
Who gives a fuck? Also, she didn't.
Also, she never did.
Yeah.
Did she?
No.
They did
No.
have a fight, but like
She
she
said
didn't cuss him out.
she said
Once.
fucking in a
Once.
yeah, exactly.
Oh
Yeah.
no, not fucking.
Like,
I would personally consider cussing out to be like, "You fucking bitch ass whore, motherfucker, bitch,
Yeah,
bitch,
no.
fuck, bitch,
there was
damn,
no cussing
motherfucker."
out.
But it was
It-
literally just like fucking as an adjective. Like, how fucking dare you?
I did like Caleb's arc though, like of just being the
No, me
copy
too.
that got
Oh,
taken out. Like,
absolutely.
it
The
was
six,
fun.
and
I hope all
that's
people get to
6
say
weeks of
this. I have
immunity are
faith.
iconic.
I
Yeah.
had
The 6
faith
weeks
in
of
Caleb.
immunity are iconic. If only the same could be said for Esther's immune system, unfortunately.
No,
Because
literally, I
part
was
of the reason
rooting
she
for
wasn't
Caleb.
social is because she was so sick.
No, I was rooting
So
for
she had
Caleb.
immunity. but-
Every week,
Not
I
immunity.
expected and hoped that Caleb would finally do something with his immunity. Truly, because Caleb was in such an interesting position where he was clearly like the goat, the floater, however you want to say it, that everyone wanted to get out. But he was a competition beast, so he kept winning immunity each week, and he was in such a great position to actually try to like change his game around and do something with it. And every week, I feel like we were on this podcast, like, wow, I really hope Caleb pulls through this week because there's opportunities for him to do it. Like there were people who were interested in working with him, not necessarily because of him, just because they could see that he was in a position where he could be scooped up. So people were trying to work with him. And it's like, I do understand, like, Caleb was definitely sick. Like the reasons were legitimate, but it's crazy to admit, like, I'm sick, I'm not putting effort into the game, and then get evicted for that very same reason, and then be mad at everybody because they didn't want to include you. It's like, at what point is someone like, what were they supposed to do? Like, show up in your DMs and be like, fucking have a conversation with me, you stupid bitch, and then make him have a conversation with you? Like, there
Well, he'd
was
say they
15 other
cussed him out.
people.
They would have cussed him out then. So
Right, and then he would have
he
been
wouldn't
mad
have been
anyway. So
working
it's like
then.
there's no way to win. I mean, like, I don't know what he was getting mad about, but I mean, I'm not necessarily upset that he got mad because it was funny to watch them fight. But I do think he was like clearly in the wrong. But you know what?
It's comedy brilliance.
Exactly. And
It
all
is.
that to say, delusion is not a trait of just Caleb. Everyone on this cast, for the most part, was delusional at some point.
Other than Caleb,
Which
looking at
one?
the reunion and the reveal of the votes, is there anything that stood out to you, or do we want to move on till after the reveal?
All right, it's time for the finale. We'll pull the votes, the keys. America steps up to the voting box. No surprise here. They vote for Nicole.
Except for Jack.
Amber, except for Jack. Amber steps up.
Bitch.
I'll be voting for the person that played the best game to my beliefs. 2 votes for Nicole.
Period.
Joey steps up to the voting box.
Cody thinks he's dead. Oh.
Take a risk, win my vote. That's 1 vote for Cody, 2 votes for Nicole.
Love our grounded queen.
Donnie steps up to the box. Now Donnie did a T choose in his submissions, but he said it was gonna keep doing it till it ended on who he wanted.
I don't know
He
if
did
I
not
believe
pick-
him, honestly. I'm not
Either way,
convinced. Like, I
either way,
think Nicole could arguably say she lost by Carl Bot. Like,
it said Cody, so that's 2 votes for Cody, 2 votes for Nicole. Brittany goes up to the box. No worries, but she made a pretty pink key for her
that
best
pink ass Clefairy ass.
It was great.
It's so
Yeah.
cute.
Hayden steps up, a long ass speech, basically what we've already said. This person did not do great speeches, but I know they played better. Votes for Nicole. That's 4 votes for Nicole, 2 votes for Cody. 1 more, Nicole wins. Jocasta gives another long ass speech about how Cody played the low key version of what she wanted to play. And best person at the game, best speech, yada yada yada. Votes for Cody.
Love you,
We're
Jacasta.
down to Caleb. Does not say anything. He just Cody, and that's 4 votes for Cody. 4 votes for Zach. My laptop lags out, so this takes like 5 whole minutes of suspense. And then, congratulations, Emmanuel. You were the winner of Big Brother Rewind 16. Woo,
Period.
Cody.
Snaps for the king. He ate
You better,
pop.
Cody.
You better work, you mean gay.
Oh my god.
Let's go through the awards, shall we?
Period.
Going quickly. So, hero of the season, Brittany. A little controversial. Some people thought it should be Nicole, but it's like hero protagonist. I voted for Brittany.
I think it
I
makes
voted
sense
for
for
Brittany.
I think it makes sense for either of them. Brittany was super
Yeah.
rootable. Brittany was the most rational,
Yes.
loyal, true-hearted
Yeah.
person of that alliance. Like, especially like her being like bullied into the Derek decision,
Yes.
like all of that.
Yeah.
Like
I was glad
I
Brittany-
understand the vision. I personally voted for Nicole, but I see the vision.
Yeah.
Villain of the season, no surprise there. That was Cody.
Yeah.
Obviously.
If not for Cody, who do you think is the runner-up that should be runner-up?
Zach.
I don't know who the fuck voted for Hayden. I don't know.
People
Hayden should
said
not have been on
Hayden.
this
I think
list.
only because he was the head of the other side, but
I
that
think
doesn't
it
make him
should
a
have been
villain.
Zach.
It would have been Zach.
Zach,
I don't
I
know.
think Zach, I think, is the correct second choice, but the only reason he doesn't get it is because he didn't last long enough
Yes.
to be villainous.
And the Derek
Enough
who
long
is
term.
crazy for
Yeah.
Cody to the point where you can't deny him the villain.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
Cody's DRs are undeniable. Like
Oh, unhinged.
he's a little shit in there, and God bless him. I loved
Love
every
it.
second of it. Like y'all were like, sometimes people were like, he's doing too much, and I was like, let him cook, let him cook,
Oh,
let
yeah,
Emmanuel
Only
cook.
once or
Too much
twice. I
until
would
you
argue
get
he
a
did
different
take it too
slur.
far, but 98% of the time it was the perfect amount of fucked up and funny.
Listen, is he telling Hayden to get hit by a bus? Yes. Do I think he actually wanted Hayden to get hit by a bus?
Maybe.
Also,
No, I
yes.
don't think he did.
Do I care?
I think he
No.
I can't let that slide.
I
But-
have to support a demon twink when I can.
Next, most robbed. It was between Derek and Jocasta. Some out there might think controversial Alex. However, if you volunteer, you cannot be robbed. We said
I
this
also
with
thought it was
Anna.
This I
in
nailed
Rewind
down
Game.
in Spec Lounge. Like, A, Derek volunteered for the block, so cannot be robbed. B, robbed is a mainly a victim of circumstance, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jocasta was
It was
very
choice
much
fuck,
a
yeah.
victim of circumstance. Because some people wanted to vote Amber for robbed, but I'm like, you can't be robbed when you just lost every competition put in
Like we
front
said
of
it
you.
in Rewind
Like,
Gear,
that's
some
not a
people didn't
robbery.
wanna-
Like, you just you
just-
lost.
You just
Some
lost.
people
Like,
wanted to
sorry,
say
much
Anna.
love to you, Toomey, but
Oh.
yeah, you were not robbed. You just were outplayed in competitions. So
people-
Jocasta truly reads as robbed to me because she was forced on the block. She was literally like shouldn't have even been the one forced on the block because that was her number one as HOH. Like it's truly the definition of robbed in every sense of it, in my opinion.
And I was gonna say it's like in Rewinder games with Anna. Some people said Anna was robbed. We were like, no, she asked
Nope.
to go first and then flopped.
And then
so-
flopped. So yeah, she both Derek and Ambered. Like
At the same time.
And I thought it was controversial because, and we talked about it and then I ended up agreeing with you guys, but I was coming from the point of like, I don't even know Emmy that well, but I know Emmy's like a very iconic person and that we've been trying to get to play for a long time, and to go out like that felt like very robbed, like should have made
Oh,
it-
and her Big Brother record is immaculate.
I know,
Like,
I've
she's
heard.
played like a small handful of orgs, and it's like top 4 every time, maybe top 3
Right.
every time. Like we fully
Right.
tarnished her record.
Right. So, and I know that that's the person, not the game. So that part I do understand, but that was one of where I was coming from when I voted for Derek. And two, I guess part of it too, when I think of most robbed, I agree with you, but part of it also for me is like, this person had the chance to win the game and was like, that chance was taken away from them in a way that felt bad or wrong, or whatever you want to use. I guess when I was seeing that, I was like, Jocasta was never going to win the fucking game. Like, who's taking Jocasta? And if you even take Jocasta, who is Jocasta beating? Like, her getting out when she got out was like, yeah, you just got out a few places before you were gonna get out again, or before you were gonna lose the game. So for me, it was like, how can she be robbed of what? A slightly better placement? Whereas Derek, I feel like actually, who knows, because it happened so early on in the game. But I felt like, yeah, like Derek like had the ability to maybe make it farther and could have possibly won it. So that was where I was coming from, but then we all talked about it, and I was like, "It's fine, I don't care."
I cannot wait for you to get a ping from Chris in Spec Lounge in approximately 3 days, being like, "What the fuck?"
Be like,
I stand by what I said.
all right, next award.
Next award.
Next, we had so Jocasta got the most robbed. Best DRs. It was between Cody and Nicole, and it went to Nicole because she fed us with her little trust ranking graphics. Always gave us content. Argued
Both
with the host
deserved
a
it.
little bit. Yeah.
Both had amazing
Best-
DRs.
Best
Different.
side character, the Pikmin Award, the Birder Award, the Noonan Award, not anymore. That obviously went to Joey of the
I voted
Blue
Frankie.
Easiest and hardest to predict identity-wise was Derek easiest, Amber hardest. Duo of the season went to Brittany and Nicole, who were never a rare feat. The duo was never named. I called them Britnick personally, but they never got a name.
I
Doesn't
voted for
matter.
them. Those were my
I did
queens.
too.
I also did.
I don't know. They were
Rivalry of
just
the
like GameBot comp queens in my mind. Like
Rivalry of the
They
season.
had sweet energy. They were very genuine.
That's the
like,
thing. They were GameBot comp queens that were like, yeah, just had a genuine connection.
Why
and
didn't I
No, they
definitely
really,
meet
yeah, they
people?
were rooting for each other. They were so positive for each other. It was like a nice,
Well, when you
loyal friendship out of
But
all
that's
the
the
fucking
problem
chaos.
is that when you think duo, you think of people that are actually working together. And Cody literally backdoored Jocasta on his own.
Cody
Yeah.
was
So
working with
that was the
himself.
argument for me because it was between Cody and Jocasta and Brittany and Nicole. But when I think about
Yep.
a duo, I think of two people that are like sticking together.
I think of
And that's
and
actual
what
even
will
and
not
rival.
even
happen.
people voted Cody and Nicole, but Cody and Nicole were each other's second choice duo.
Yeah.
It was they were only a true duo when both Brittany and Jocasta were out. The only other I would have said duo of the season contender would have been Hayden and Joey.
Yeah, Hayden and Joey would have been my
Zach
second.
and Donnie if Zach had lasted longer, but
Yeah.
So yeah, rivalry of the season, as we mentioned, it used to be Jocasta and Joey, then Caleb and Amber, and a little bit Jocasta started whacking each other during reunions. We had a last-minute tide shift.
yeah, Amber or Jocasta honorable mention in that rivalry.
Like we said, Jocasta loves a fight, and we love to watch.
Period.
Best alliance. Me and Graham got into this. There was a lot of permutations of the same crowd, whether or not the Blue Brigade was just
You
an
guys fight
idea
over the
or a
dumb
real
shit sometimes, it's
alliance.
fun.
But ultimately, it went down to Ozai's Angels.
Soccer mom's robbed. Soccer mom's robbed.
Amber, Brittany, and Nicole.
That's
Wait,
not
who's
true.
Ozai's Angels? Oh, the three
Brittany,
girl
Amber,
alliance.
Nicole.
Yeah.
Brittany, Amber, Nicole.
They deserved it. I liked
they
them.
The most
I'm very happy with that.
shocking, iconic
Soccer mom's
moment
robbed.
was Cody and Jocasta. Sorry, Cody picking Nicole over Jocasta because we all thought we thought Nicole was bones all day. And then
Yes.
not anymore.
I was so gagged.
Biggest com flop, it was all Victoria, literally. Just Victoria. Best move was Cody and Nicole. This is where Swan and I brought it. I'm gonna try to get through this quickly. I just believe this move was the effect of Hayden and Donnie's move, and I feel like the cause should be the best move. But they also argued that Cody and Nicole made final two.
Effect
Donnie
is
and Hayden
the
didn't.
effective pivot away. They were put into a bad situation, and they both correctly played it to position themselves better for the rest of the end game, and that's why they were in final two.
I just wanted to give Hayden and Donnie the flowers for putting the front runners in that position in the first place.
I agree. It was a good move, but then they got outmaneuvered and outplayed.
Yeah. And I also don't think that Donnie should really get any credit for that.
Okay,
Simply not my
he
Sydney
did the
era.
action.
Not my
Never did.
not my Sydney
Okay.
era, but it's literally
Say that shit
Hayden.
again.
Hayden
I
is the
gotta go
only reason that
quickly.
happened. 'cause he's
Actually,
the
best
only
move to
reason.
Carlbot for choosing
yeah.
Donnie in Victoria's subs.
Victoria's
Carlbot actually has best move of the season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's another reason why I don't think it wins best move, because there were so many reasons why it could have not happened at literally
yeah.
any
Yeah, Donnie
moment.
could have literally not been picked just because
guess
Victoria
I'm
was
swayed.
Victoria.
That's why I think it should have gone to Hayden. That's just me.
Okay, worst move was obviously Brittany and backdooring Derek. Well, not back,
Yes.
pawning
Well,
Derek.
Let's not put that on
volunteer.
Brittany, but yes.
Well, yes.
Brittany
well,
did the action. All of Shields collectively.
Brittany would have
allowing,
never done it
agreeing,
until Derek
whatever.
volunteered.
Derek
Derek should
volunteering,
have never
Brittany
volunteered.
agreeing
He gets
to
the
let
most.
Derek.
it was
credit.
a collective bad move.
Yeah. Best cycle goes to Dragon Week. I think because of the final three, because of the competitions and just because of how we didn't know what was going to happen for a lot of it. And it
True.
boiled down to a tiebreaker.
I said Poison Week because I just
Okay.
liked
I did too. I thought this was based on like the theming of it all.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of both.
I was low-key like, okay, wait, so which was your favorite banner?
I voted for Dark
And then
I liked Ghost.
Period.
So yes, the controversial recently added award that I just stole from other orgs. Best physical, obviously, that went to Nicole, and then best strategic and social both went to Amber, and then the two big media awards of Rewind, player of the season. Now, as we've said, we thought this was going to be Nicole for a lot of the season, as we've probably stated in prior podcasts as well. But ultimately, tide shifted, and in the 11th hour, we all decided it goes to Amber instead. And America's favorite player, or I dubbed it Madoshi's favorite trainer, was between Amber and Nicole. And of course, they voted for her to win. They voted for her to be their champion, the people's champion, even if not the org's champion. Nicole has won America's favorite house guest, and that caps off all the awards. As we
Yay!
I will
I'm
say
glad she won
one thing I'm really pleased with, because unless it's like undeniable, I really do like splitting up the like the big three of awards between winner, AFP, and player of the season.
Yeah.
So I really do like the way it was spread between, well, what we literally said is the best
The final
The
three
big three of
of
the season.
Yeah.
And we decided the
Big Brother
DVD
Rewinds.
cover was going to be the final three plus Brittany, Hayden, and Zach.
But yeah, I think one last time this season, we have an MVP. We have our MVP points to give out, and we have our trainer of the episode. Are we all in agreement again
I
that
think there's only one
I mean,
answer,
why would
obviously.
we-
Is
yeah.
agreeance a word?
Why would
It's
that?
Frankie,
Why would
it's
we even
Frankie
do that?
Grande again.
It's
I don't know.
Frankie.
I will say yes. I obviously Cody won the season, so he gets the MVP points for this last thing, and I assume unless Sydney gives trainer of the episode to like Hayden or something again.
Donnie, probably.
I'm giving it to Amber for the way she whacked Caleb in the
What?
reunion.
But yeah, Cody really he really brought it in the jury questioning. He really did such a good job of explaining his game and selling his game, and also like poking holes in Nicole's game, like we said. And he slayed. He self-described himself as the underdog coming into this, which I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think he probably had better chances going into it than Nicole did to start with. And I think
He didn't
Nicole
know
was
that, though.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
Nicole was maybe working at a little bit of a disadvantage. And she did do some work to make it closer than what we thought, but it did end up with Cody winning, deservedly so,
Mhm.
after his good performance and everything across the whole season, as well as the
Agreed.
final two. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was a super close, like riveting 5-4 vote.
And he didn't even need America to win, which I personally love. Because I
Yeah.
would not have wanted this to be
Yeah.
I
satisfied about
kept it. There's been a lot of like similarities of this final two
Him
to
and Edvin.
final two
And
of
the
Big Brother
Chelsea
Rewinds
BB9.
9, where it was also decided by one vote. And Nicole, I think a lot of people can say that Jen in 9 probably played like for a majority of the season the best game, and then did kind of fumble at the end and ended up losing in a close like one vote. So there's a lot of similarities with
And
that.
both seasons had a lovable comp beast taken out in pre-jury.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Of course.
And like
That's where
Big
Aaron
Brother
is gonna go.
Yeah, America voted for Jen
you,
to
Jack.
win and she lost by 1 vote still. America voted for Nicole to win and she lost by 1 vote still. Big Brother Rewinds 9 is also the last time that the final HOH has not also gone on to win the game.
Cody and Chelsea are both villains,
Yeah,
the
beating the
villains winning at the
beating
end.
the AFP.
We're
Yeah.
seeing parallels.
Like the parallels are paralleling.
They're doing some paralleling next to each other.
So I just thought all that was fun.
And overall, this was a very fun season, despite what some may say. There was
Who's
always
some?
something happening
Oh,
every
Sydney.
week. The cast was firing
the
on
jury.
all cylinders, and I honestly think
Such
the
a
fact
good
that it was
cast.
such a like strong cast throughout. It wasn't just top heavy carrying the season.
Yes.
Everyone
Yeah.
contributing.
Literally,
is what made it
literally every
special.
single like Frankie brought what he had to bring. Like every single person, like Devin was so entertaining when he was
Yes.
around.
Even
Like,
the
every
flops had their moment.
Exactly. One thing I think we were remiss to not touch on before we wrap up this season and like reminiscing on it, whatever. Big Brother is at the end of the day like sold as a social experiment. Orgs are taking that even farther, and Big Brother Rewind specifically is a unique social experiment in its own way because it's a community of a lot of people who know each other, that are interconnected, that have prior relationships, that were used to navigating in orgs, and you're playing it anonymously. And something that we kind of accidentally stumbled into that we were really worried about is we've realized we cast an entire friend group within the
Ugh.
season. And normally, I remember
hurt.
Shinx being like, we got all these late apps, but they're really good. Like every single one of them is really good. And
Yeah.
also like, but I'm a little worried that like it's a bunch of friends who applied together. Lo and behold, that kind of is what happened. With varying degrees of anonymity and communication about it. But I mean, I don't actively ever think they were like pre-gaming or like
Yeah.
trying to game
No.
the system or whatever. And I think that's made evident by the actual gameplay. And that's what I think is so fascinating, that we cast these people who all happen to know each other, that were forced to play anonymously, that we're trying to figure out who each other were, and some of them knew who each other were and some didn't. But we had like Jocasta Day like 2 was like, oh, that's Emmanuel, that's my bestie, and we were a little worried because they'd been so quick to ride or die. And then, well, lo and behold, like Emmanuel fully backdoors the fuck out of Chris, like the soonest chance he gets. And none of them clocked. Toomey was apparently a friend of theirs because like Toomey was pretending to be like an Australian white woman the whole time, like. Like just the layers of social experimentation, and like just that idea of like you could put people who get along together and are friends like in a situation, and it could come out differently a little bit every time. I thought that was really interesting, and I thought it was cool that they didn't rely necessarily on those built-in relationships, even the ones that they had figured out.
Yeah.
And already in our Spec Lounge postseason, I think they've been a delightful addition. They're crazy.
Oh,
I need one of them
I'm
to fight
obsessed
Edvin.
with them.
Yo, I need one of y'all to fight Edvin, please. I need to see that happen.
I need to see Emmanuel and Edvin come.
Oh
to
my God,
Podgers.
put them in a season with Edvin and
or
Brody. That would be
Liam. Or
insane.
Liam. Just someone fight
Edvin,
someone.
Brody, Liam, Allie. Okay.
Allie.
I don't think
So-
we need
Discord
Brody as
Twinks
the
1 versus
3P.
Discord Twinks 2.
I was gonna say All Stars 22 is actually just I'm gonna like we're just gonna do like all of the chaos young people
Yeah.
and let them fight each other. No,
Very
but
good.
I just thought it was a really unique and interesting aspect to the season, where
I
normally it would be something
also-
you'd be worried about. But I thought it played out really, really in an interesting way.
It was
I
great.
agree.
I also want to say, like, all of your hard work, I can tell all the thought that went into the theming of the weeks, the work for casting all 16 people, keeping it going. It really paid off. The graphics, the podcast, all throughout. It made for an amazing season, definitely up there with the best Rewind seasons. So great job to all of you. It was really fun as a
Thank you,
spectator.
Jack. I hope
Thank
we
you so
made you
much.
proud.
It
Yeah.
was. I really loved this season, and it was
Yeah,
fun
'cause
to
this is your
kick my
first
feet
season.
up, relax, and keep that entertainment.
Yeah, this is your first season just watching as a spectator and not being involved in production at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gotta be interesting for you.
You guys gave me a great season for that, so I was living.
Oh, thank you,
Period.
Jack.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about just as much all we can talk about this season. It's been 9 episodes in the making, about to be 10. We've covered every nook and cranny that you possibly can of Big Brother Rewind 16. So now there's only one thing for us to do, everybody. It's time to rewind and go take a little stroll down memory lane. We're on like cycle 14 at this point.
Some seasons don't even have 14
Very
Best finale moments.
Very
We're just at
few
final two,
seasons,
essentially,
like cycle
final three.
14, cycle
Yeah.
15. We're basically just talking about final threes and final twos at this point because the very few seasons have made it this far.
I'll actually go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can
My
see our
favorite
finale
part, my
moments.
favorite cycle 14 moment is actually Big Brother Rewinds 9 because it didn't exist. The season was over.
Great.
And that's my moment.
Slay.
That was beautiful. I
I
will
mean-
say that for my final three moment, I went by people left, not cycle numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A moment that stood out to me was Dana in Big Brother 4 winning final HOH and saving Allison, which was so clearly the wrong move. And as a Dana stan, I was rooting for her and I was like, what the fuck? But she did it out of like loyalty and wanting the strong final two and confidence in her own game. And it did not pay off, but I thought that was compelling. And then for final two moments, I couldn't avoid mentioning in Big Brother 14, Krista's response to JoJo when she talked about the chocolate starfish, how she
Lord.
cleaned that ass clean, how
I had to read that later for a challenge.
Yeah,
and it
so-
was disgusting.
I
biggest
posted your
together.
dramatic reading of it just the other day because we were talking about it.
which
Aw.
ate up much like a chocolate starfish. So
It's
Oh
true.
my god.
I just
Mom.
remember because I remember it was such a long speech too, and it took quite a bit for him to type it all out and everything. And I just remember Danielle responding to it after she just said, "What the fuck?"
That what else could you say to that? Like honestly,
So funny.
I'll
Love
talk
it.
about Graham because it was very nice to see. Because I think this is technically the first real vet season besides 11, and in like the real world of Big Brother, because they had All Stars and they had Jessica come back. It's nice to see we've gotten proper like 6 versus 8, almost fans versus favorites, which has yet to happen in Real Big Brother outside of 13. So it's nice to see that the vets who kind of ran the season then lost the plot, and seeing Graham rewrite his own history with the time zone gate, getting his own partner, throwing him under the bus 1,001 times, all of his like strategic lying, and then just like comping out in a way we haven't seen before with the former not straw loose record. And I still think probably the only perfect score in jury statements to this day. I think I'm not fully sure on that, but he had the perfect score regardless. And he was able to go and clinch up that victory, even though he did rob Jake in the process. I think Jake is just eternal third place. We love you, Jake, but I think that's just your role, I think. And it was very nice to see Graham win. And also, my real favorite moment is Jackson's, but I'm gonna let him talk about it. But yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, in typical Jackson fashion, guess what, motherfuckers? I'm talking about Big Brother Rewinds 11.
as you should.
Yeah.
'Cause that's- I just say talking
Ooh.
about that season.
Best season.
But yes, it is not a secret that Arya is my favorite winner of Big Brother Rewinds.
mine too. I'm
ever.
sorry, Graham.
Me too.
She should be.
I think
She
she's
should
I think she's
be.
genuinely like, and
Down
this
with
is a
Arya.
crazy thing to say, but I think she's like the Dan Giesling of Big Brother Rewinds.
No, that's actually tea. That's
I
actually
think
tea.
she's
As
like
somebody who
the-
has
I
played with
think-
her fucking twice, she really fucking
Which
is.
is why I'm so sad she
You don't
rejected
understand
us.
how terrifying she is.
I'm
You
so
don't
sad she
understand.
turned down our 14 invitation
I
because I needed
know.
Cole and her to go head to head.
But we got Jeevan getting Jeevaned for a third time. So
Right.
And it was
he did
depressing.
paid it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Arya is genuinely, and specifically Arya's Big Brother 11 game is the most like strategically sound and simultaneously entertaining thing I have ever witnessed.
Yeah.
And it was just so great.
Incredible
And it
work.
was this whole arc. She basically like had the Cody Calafiore 1.0 of like
Yeah.
getting all the way to the end and picking the wrong person to take to the end and losing. And so it's been this entire season, and like she gets to final 4 and she wins HOH, and it's like, oh, thank God. Like, yes, she's at least she can play in final 3 HOH. And then I believe she won part 1 of the final HOH. She won that. So like, oh, okay. She's
Yeah.
like one comp away. She can do it. And it's
Yep.
her and Laura in part 3. And whoever wins is just gonna evict the other one. So it like really is coming down to this competition. And she she clutches it out and she wins the final 3 HOH. And I remember the spec lounge like erupted into like applause. They were like, she fucking did it. She did it. And we were like, oh God, she has to evict Laura. Please don't do this again. And she like, it's like what Shink said about Graham, like rewriting his like Zingland history. She goes back and she's one of 2 people to win final HOH more than once. There's Cole, obviously, who's won it 3 times now because
It was a tie when she did it, so
yeah,
it's still
but yeah,
cool.
she wins the final HOH again. She makes it to the final 2 again, and she cuts Laura, and she makes the right decision, and she wins unanimously at the
Our
end.
first
And it was
person of
just,
color winner. No more white people.
yeah, it was everything. It truly was all I could
And the
have.
second woman, no, third woman. Forgot about Alice.
Thank God.
Genuinely
third
one of
woman.
the best org players I've ever
Yeah,
seen.
He
absolutely.
gave her a
I-
compliment. Oh my god.
And I hate her.
But yeah, Arya turned it out. She ate
We
that
love you,
season up.
Arya.
I will go next. Shinx was very kind to me, so I'm going to be very kind to Shinx. I'm going to talk about Shinx winning because I think it was a very big win for the BB Rewinds community. Shinx has been such a vital, integral part of BB Rewinds, and it was really, really nice to see him rewarded for all of that. And he did that by taking out the biggest player of the season in Isabel/Alex, the best player to play Rewinds and not win. On top of all of it. So it was really, really fun to see Shinx get his win. And as someone that's so important to the BB Rewinds community and playing as Shinx, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like,
y'all let me do it.
True.
it
Well, it
was
wasn't against the rules, and I wasn't allowed to tell you, I think this is a bad idea, strategically speaking. So yes, we allowed it.
I'll never forget the moment that Jack told us that you were
You were
choosing
playing
to play
as
as
Shinx.
Shinx.
Because here's
Viral,
why.
bro.
I wanted to nerf myself because I'm like, if I feel like I'm gonna know who everyone is. It's only fair if they know who I am. You know, I
Collective
want to
groans across the
counterbalance
room happened.
the host
True.
advantage that I had, and I did that because I found everybody and they all know.
But
who
it
the
was
fuck I
very funny.
It was funny.
No, it was
We made a
hilarious.
bunch of good bits, and it on BB Rewinds 15, one of the most stacked casts we've ever had. So Shinx won
I
against
I
a lot
cried
of
when I won.
And Shing,
big
yeah, your
players.
reaction to winning, I still remember.
That's
Like,
my
I
favorite
will
the
say
fun.
there is something, and this is like corny and cheesy or whatever, but there really is like these are silly, pointless games that like you do have a level of emotional investment, and it is always really nice to see that like the people that were really, really dedicated and really, really cared about it and really invested like did come out on top, and that was part of why I was rooting for Nicole a little bit because I could tell. I mean, I do think they were both invested in all, both gave it their all, but no, it was very satisfying seeing Shinx win.
look,
Yeah,
we
it
put
was.
a
I
lot
remember
of.
Shinx crying on the voice chat afterwards, and it was like the most
It was
sincere,
very sweet.
Yeah, it
wonderful
was very
moment.
sweet.
I
It
was
was great.
sobbing. I haven't cried. I went to a funeral and I didn't cry.
But I mean, we put a lot of time and effort to making every season. Every player puts a lot, well, not every player, but a lot of players put a lot of time and effort into participating and doing well and like fighting for it because we're all passionate about it. And so, like,
Exactly.
you're gonna have emotions, especially when you're like connecting with other people through it and forming this community.
Yeah, I do also want to highlight one of our queens and one of my good Judies from BB Rewinds 13, Angie, who at final 3 we had 0 gate where all Angie had to do to win
Was backspace once.
was backspace
Just one
once,
backspace.
but she
One
accidentally
backspace.
added an extra 0 to her numerical tiebreak answer and ended up losing and getting voted out and lost the season.
Katie got her rewinder flowers.
Yes,
It's okay.
but then that was the next part. But then
Years later.
years down the line, after getting shafted in BB Rewinds 13 by yours truly, Katie
Comp Beast Katie.
was the comp beast of all comp beasts and won BB Rewind Your games.
As she should.
As she should. I think
And
we're
it's canon. It's season 1. Where our numbers finally align. It's canon. I'm saying.
yeah, but we love Katie here on the pod. And
Queen.
yeah.
True.
Katie's one of my all-time favorites. She's such a legend of the org.
I love
Yeah.
her
And
so much.
her win does mean Alex is now the best ever win, undisputed.
Sydney.
Sydney.
I just feel like I have to talk about my final 2 where I made it to final 2.
Of course,
Because it was-
as you
fucking
should, Queen.
should, Queen.
First, well, there were 2 things I wanted to say. Both are really funny. So they're funny to me. I was in Minnesota visiting a friend for that weekend where like where final 2 was happening. So I was drunk and on Adderall that entire weekend, and I had to write my speech at like 2 a.m. or something weird, and I literally finished it and wrote it at like midnight and submitted it like an hour before, and I was freaking out because I had never written a speech before. So I stole from other people, like I stole their formatting and like their little TLDR shit that I thought was cute. And
I
then
stole
like
my formatting from you for my final speech,
I
actually.
tried to steal the
Yeah.
formatting from Graham, and I had him into breakdown and just wrote word vomit.
Awesome.
But it was just funny because I was going into that final 2, like I definitely thought Cole should win. Also, everyone know I did not know who Cole was. I did not know who Julia was at the moment. I had not spec'd any season of BBR before this. So I did not know I was playing with like a complete psychopath. Like I did know through like our interactions, but I did not understand until later how scary he was and how like slay he was and that he was gonna win a second time. But I was like, I think Julia should win, but I didn't want to just give up because I thought that was gonna be boring. So I did want to try. And it ended up being very close. It was like what, like 4-3. I forget the count. But
It was
which
4-3.
I was very happy. Like I was like, I think I want Cole to win because I thought Cole deserved it more, but I wanted it to like not be like a something
Oh, yeah,
zero.
also it's almost to the day because today's the 22nd when we're recording this, and
Yeah.
the finale was on the 19th.
And
we
can I
started this
also
on the
add that we were all, everybody, including the hosts, as far as I'm aware, were on our toes because I thought that Cole had lost Laura Dern's vote when he fucking backstabbed the shadow.
Yeah, Laura was the
To be
last to vote
bitter. It was the
too.
one thing you were supposed to do,
Laura
Laura
was the
Dern, is
last vote as
still
well. So
be
it was
bitter.
And at the end of the day, it was that vote was literally like essentially what made it. But yeah, so that was a fun final 2. I was very pleased with how everything went, and I was very happy to make it to final 2. And it was
You
fun.
played a great game.
But yeah.
I think that's all she
Wow.
wrote, gang. I think.
Happy Big Brother Rewind 16.
Yes, it has been an honor.
Period.
Recapping Big Brother
What
Rewind
amazing
16 as
season.
well. Yeah, we'll be back for Rewind 17, same time, same place. I would keep an eye out in this off season. We might have a off-season podcast or two with Jack as well, involving maybe some winner rankings or some season rankings, and we might need some audience polling to help us
Oh, yeah.
determine some of that as well. So
It's got to be a fucking bloodbath on this
yeah.
podcast when we
So
get
keep an eye out for that, and maybe you guys will get a little treat between now and when Rewind
and
17 happens.
if we do some off-season podcasts and carrying on to next season, I think I would love to have our winner, our runner-up.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to have a little cast recap with some of the girlies
I would
too.
love that.
Oh yes, bring Emmanuel and Max on.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That would be cute.
I would be so down for that.
Oh,
I will
yeah.
be tuning in.
Period.
Period.
We'll see you guys
Until
next
then.
time we see you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for
you.
listening.
Bye.